racetracks today.
200 laps, 500 miles, pit road speed, wide pit road, 55 miles per hour, pit window for fuel, about 35 to 38 laps. Now, the FedEx racetrack keys, give and take. You can run 5 wide down these straightaways, but when you get to turn 1 and 2, you better not be wider than about 2 cars. Careful with your brakes. You heard DW talking to ride and drive. No downshifting getting into the corner. We saw a lot of cars last year get in trouble with their brakes. And now that Hammond's not a crew chief, we don't have to worry about fuel capacity, but you do have to worry about fuel consumption. This race can be won on fuel strategy.
For more info on Pocono, including DW's hotspots, log on to foxsports.com, keyword FedEx.
DW, the next time we come down this straightaway going into turn 1, 202 miles per hour. Reach up there and pull those belts tight one more time.
Woohoo! Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go rolling, boys!
Three wide already in the straightaway. Jeff Green dropped to the inside. They're 3 wide through turn 1 there.
Boy, Casey Kane washed way up the track down there.
J.J. Yaley in the 18 car up there at no man's land as well. Way up above the group.
A little dusty out there right now.
Man 11th in points. Denny Hamlin only 80 points behind 10.
Oh, trouble, trouble, big trouble.
Big pileup. Casey Mears is in it. Scott Riggs and J.J. Yaley up by the wall may have squeezed through without damage, but look at the back end of Mears, number 42.
I think Scott Riggs, the 10 car, may have been in the beginning of this a little bit.
Yeah, he's got damage to his right front, Larry, or at least he's got tire rub on the right front, so they obviously made contact.
Me too. I got way loose.
I just heard someone say they got real loose.
Yeah.
Once again, I just think this racetrack is totally different than it was yesterday.
Well, and of course it's dirty. We saw all that dust and all that debris flying around, and you're going to get real loose here on the get-go. See him right there. He just gets in there in the front end, just kind of the back end steps out.
Now watch Yaley right behind Casey Mears, hard on the brakes. Not sure if he got the wall, but he did not contact either of those cars.
You know the irony of that right there? That looks exactly like what happened to Casey Mears a couple of weeks ago coming off turn 4 at Lowe's when he got into Kyle Busch, the 5, and sent him into the outside wall. Casey got loose then, and this is what happened to Scott Riggs here.
From Tony Raines, the DLP onboard camera.
Come on down, bring it down, bring it down. Good job.
Here under this caution. Oh, and the catch can man.
This is second time.
Right there. Oh, second time.
He came back in and topped up again. A number of the cars at the back of the field are coming on pit road and doing that.
I'm sorry. I thought this was the tape of why he had to come back in a second time, which is because the catch can man was not in contact with the car when he came in for his first gas stop.
Now, I'm not sure what he's done wrong or if he's done anything wrong.
Guess he got some damage in that crash at turn
I got you.
3,
They're
perhaps.
working on the front of the car. I just saw the inspector standing up there.
Scott Riggs spin getting into Casey Mears. Major damage to the back of Mears' car. First caution of the day. 5th time this year we've had a caution before lap 10. All right, all you singular virtual crew chiefs. Will Jeff Gordon make the chase? To answer, test the word crew to 191 on your Singular wireless phone, or log on to foxsports.com/singular and you'll be entered to win Jeff Burton's payday in Daytona.
Well, Jeff Gordon told us on our trackside show on Friday night on Speed, they know they've got some serious work to do.
Steve Burns.
Casey Mears out of the race car, Mike Joy, and Casey, this probably won't make you feel any better, but we did hear Scott Riggs say he apologized. How bad is the damage? Can you guys get back on the racetrack?
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody ever means to do something like that. It doesn't help us right now, but It just, man, it's just disappointing. The very first lap, I think we had a pretty good car. We had a small problem in qualifying, ended up 22nd, and I thought we were going to have a good chance of going through the field and hated for all the Texaco Haviland cars. In light of everything that's gone down this week, too, you know, I know that we wanted to have a good run for them. And, you know, it's just disappointing. I mean, we didn't even get to start the race, you know.
Thank you, Casey.
Yep.
Casey referring to his announcement that he has talked with Chip Ganassi and has told his car owner he will not be back behind the wheel of the 42 next year. He's going to explore other opportunities. This was the final year of his contract, and they want to win some races for Ganassi and Haviland before this year is done.
I feel sorry for his crew chief, Donnie Wingo. I mean, this is the second year in a row it's happened to him, and Donnie's a great guy and a good crew chief. He's got to wonder what the heck is going on.
Lost Jamie McMurray, and now Casey Mears is leaving that team. A lot of movement on the restart. Still a lot of dust there at the outside edge of the track near the wall. And look at Casey Kane fend off Ryan Newman going into 3.
Yeah, right across that short chute, there's a crossover gate right there, and it gets a lot of traffic before the race starts. A lot of dirt right there, a lot of dust.
And we watched our points leader, Jimmy Johnson, in that 48 car. He was on the high side coming off turn 3. See if he can complete this pass before they get to turn 1, and he will. There's Tony Stewart in the 20 car. He wasn't bashful about 3 wide and gets a pretty good run off turn 2 right there.
Well, he went 3 wide on the opening lap at Dover last week. Plenty of room out there.
Yeah, well, you got, you know, when they're all bunched up like this, best time to get guys. You're still getting a little help. Jimmy Johnson give him a little draft. Good time to make some passes.
Kyle Busch coming to in that pack as we watch Dale Jr. now looking inside of Newman.
That's just a product right there of Newman washing out behind Tony, and Dale Jr. laid off of him a little bit and got to run under him coming over to the short chute.
Steve.
And Mike, Casey Kane, as you noted, dropped some positions when the green flag fell. He said during that caution period, I really think it's just because there's different rubber on this racetrack. Yesterday, the ARCA series ran here, and they run different tires. Hoosier tires.
I would somewhat agree with that, but not really. I think it's more a product of it being a little warmer, the sun's out, and then the track being dirty. I think you'll hear guys talk about being loose. Later on, they're going to be talking about I'm too tight.
Definitely had to work to build some adjustment in these race cars in those practice sessions yesterday. Riding here with Denny Hamlin in the 11 car pole sitter. He had never seen Pocono until he got here on Friday, but ever since he left Dover on Sunday, he has been on his video game constantly playing the Pocono game, the Pocono race game.
Well, we're 7 laps into the race, and car number 7, Robbie Gordon, has had a close encounter with the wall.
And we will see this all day long. This is coming up off of turn 2, the tunnel turn. You're carrying so much speed, and it just throws you against that outside wall.
It's a little bit bumpy over there if you happen to hit a bump just not right. But also, too, the safer barrier takes up a lot of room off that corner, more than we were accustomed to when we run here in the past.
And apologies, that was not Robbie Gordon. That was a Dodge, not Robbie's Chevrolet. We'll get a number on that car.
Oh, I'm sure there's 2 or 3 that do it. We're hearing that was David Strimmy in the 40 car. 2 or 3 cars will do it every lap.
12th place, Tony Stewart on the inside of Ryan Newman.
See, Ryan washes out right there. Not a lot of grip out there. And then the safer barrier sticks out there about 1.5 feet. And it uses up that extra little bit of room you need getting out of that corner.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Ryan Newman has been on the radio telling his crew that the car is really, really tight. He's lucky he could do that because just before the start of the race, they had radio problems, which mysteriously cleared up.
Well, and one thing I think you fight here is when the cars are all bunched up. This racetrack is so big, and when they're all bunched up, you can sometimes get some radio interference, but a lot of times it's hard to hear from the pits all the way over to turn 2, the tunnel turn.
It's a long way across there, Larry, and then you got those garages and stuff all behind the pits right there in the stands, and it does block your radio transmission. You'll see a lot of teams with real tall antennas on their pit boxes.
The major issue we've spoken about today is car setup. But sometimes the trouble is not car setup, it's personal setup. Listen to Dale Jr.
This seat needs a little bit more angle. Hold the front, hold my legs up toward the edge of the seat there. Out toward my knees. Need a little more height.
And of course, there's not a thing that the team or the crew can do about that. He was passing that information on to Tony Ure Jr., but trust me, they made a note, and they indeed may bring that very car back here in 6 weeks when we race here again, and they'll make the adjustments needed.
And a driver has to tell you that right now, because once the day is over with, he'll forget all about it, show back up here and say, oh, I meant to tell you, and I forgot.
15th through 18th right here. Mark Martin and his teammate Matt Kenseth single file. And the car we showed you earlier bouncing off the wall, that black Dodge, that was Kevin LePage, who is now up to 33rd spot.
Now, Mark started back in the 20th position in the 6 car. He has moved up now to the 17th position. 38 starts here. He's never won, but 6 second-place finishes. Told us the other night he loves this racetrack.
And he also said he was proud of his record here. You know, just because a guy hadn't won at a racetrack, this is one of his favorite tracks. I'll take 6 second-place finishes. That's nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, 19 top 5s and 27 top 10s.
Greg Biffle in 5th place, 3.7 seconds off the lead, tracking Jeff Gordon over the tunnel. Matt?
Biffle in the 16 on the move, Mike. In fact, he's faster than the 3 cars in front of him. Biffle paid a visit to the infield care center this morning, battling flu-like symptoms, congestion in his head and his chest. He was very thankful. He told me that the temperature very cool today, 60 to 63 degrees. Biffle says the car has great staying power on long runs. In DW, you talked about the antennas. Doug Richard, his crew chief, had to switch to their taller antenna due to the breakup.
And of course, Greg Biffle was one of the guys that did the double duty. He raced in Nashville last night.
Oh, but he's feeling better with every lap. It's a perfect day from a driver's perspective for racing. It's not very hot. Sun's out. Sunny. It's beautiful. Great day to race.
Jimmy Johnson has moved his Lowe's Chevrolet to 7th, just ahead of teammate Brian Vickers. And they're trying to close up on Casey Kane in 6th, 6 seconds off the lead. 11 laps complete at Pocono. This is the 6th race of the year Denny Hamlin has led the most of all rookies.
Remember, Matt Yoakum talked about him as he gave Sterling a little wave. Sterling kind of little give and take there with Sterling in the 14 car. But remember, Carl Edwards started in the 40th position. He just drove by Sterling Marlin, Matt, for the 17th position.
Absolutely, Larry Mack, on the move. Very pleased with his race car. He apologized on the pace lap for his qualifying performance. His spotter, Bobby Hudson, touched on something that you guys have already talked about, and that's the wind. He told him the wind, very similar to Saturday. You're going to have a headwind going into the tunnel turn and a tailwind going into 1, so just keep that in the back of your mind.
Sterling's off the pace, guys. He's been in the wall. I noticed the right side of the car is pretty skin up. I don't know if that's what his problem is or not. It might be a right rear tire.
You can see right there,
Sure, everything good?
80 miles per hour compared to about 170 miles per hour as these cars go by him.
It's something in the valve train.
Something in the valve train. We talked about that in our
It just got worse.
talked about our practice show yesterday about the valve train is the weakest thing about these engines here at this racetrack.
And Darrell, because of the new gear and transmission rule, we don't shift here anymore. Used to be able to shift to carry those RPM down this long straightaway. Now everybody basically pulls the same 3rd gear and the same rear gear per the rules.
This went with that gear rule and this wind that we have down this front straightaway today, it's going to suck the guts out of a bunch of them.
And just remember, that's Hendrick Motors in that car right there.
Michigan next week. As you ride with Jeff Burton, 3rd place, 4 seconds off the lead. And they're behind Burton, Greg Biffle in 4th, Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson, a solid 6th ahead of Casey Kane. We listened in to the Lowe's team.
I've got a little bit of a loose off the tunnel. So I got to get back with you here in a few laps, let you know I got.
10-4, you being easy on the brakes for me?
For big time. The one thing that is consistent is tight into 1 and tight into 2.
10-4, we'll work on that.
Steve Burns is in their pit.
Yeah, Mike, and I'm listening to Jeff Gordon right now, and he's experiencing the same exact loose condition off the tunnel turn as his teammate, Jimmy Johnson. Likewise, another Hendrick teammate, Brian Vickers. Gordon saying he's very good getting into one, but both cars, or all three of them, we should say, loose off the tunnel turn.
And right.
Just remember, Brian Vickers started in the 4th position in the 25 car. He's fell back all the way to the 11th spot right now. As Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 just went by him.
Sterling Marlin, Darrell, is he going to make it?
He's still rolling. Uh-oh, what's happening here now? Whoa.
Now that's Reed Sorensen.
Man, he's in trouble.
Yeah, he got into the wall pretty good. Matt?
There's trouble on the 16 of Greg Biffle. 2 laps ago, Mike came on the radio, says my brake pedal has gone all the way to the floor. No brakes. His team is scrambling in their pit to get all the tools available so when they pit, they can go to work and try to diagnose his braking issues. Trouble on the 16 of Biffle.
And Greg Biffle was a car that had brake problems here last year.
And what's wrong with
18's he's got a right front tire down. 41 spins out on the back. Biffle's got brake trouble. 18's got a flat tire.
Yaley wiped the whole right side of that Husqvarna Chevy against the wall.
She's hurt on the right side here.
I got to believe it. The 18 and the 41 may have had to come together somewhere.
Sterling Marlin, he was actually on pit road, but now he's going to get a little assistance pushed in. Of course, he has the engine problems right now.
I can't believe. See if we can figure out what happened all of a sudden. Just cars all of a sudden everywhere having trouble. Here's the 41. He's all by himself.
Darrell, that car never turned when he got the turn.
No, and he was doing some weird things down the back straightaway there. You know, he just drove off in the grass and see, he just drives out in the grass like the car won't steer.
No, the wheels wouldn't turn left at all. It didn't look like.
I'm not sure what his issues are, but they're serious.
And Reed had a rough night in Nashville last night. Here's J.J. Yaley.
I think what blew his tire out was he was trying to get on pit road, realized the pits wasn't open back there, blew out the right front tire.
But the problem is he was already past the commit cone, so there's definitely going to be a penalty there.
And that tire was already down. And let's face it, if you pit before the pits is open, the penalty is just tail end of the longest line. I'd rather take that than ride around here on a flat tire for 2.5 miles.
Well, the problem is he's already got the commit cone violation, so he's already got a penalty.
Well, he'd been in the wall. I mean, that was the thing. He was in the wall in that first wreck up there, and I think that's where maybe that's where the damage on the car came from. Boy, lap 21 proved to be very exciting here at Pocono.
Well, you know what's going to be exciting now, Steve, is pit road, because they'll all be coming on there.
Larry Mack, Jeff Gordon has the very first pit stall off of turn 3. Pit stall number 43. Jeff said when the caution flew that he has started to get tight off all 3 corners. So Steve Letarte said we're going to take some bite out of that race car. They've also made an air pressure adjustment. Obviously 4 tires for Jeff Gordon and bite out. Dick, sorry.
And Kurt Busch has pulled his car to a halt in his pit area. Unlike last week at Dover, we have big, wide pit stalls here at Pocono and a big, wide pit road as well. To Matt.
The 48 of Jimmy Johnson, the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Now, he was consistently tight down in turns 1 and 2. Track bar up. Air pressure adjustment. Meanwhile, service has already been complete on the leader, Denny Hamlin's car. He said his car was a little snug but free off turns 2 and 3. No changes for the rookie.
And I'm going to tell you who the real loser was on those pit stops. Jeff Burton in the 31 car, not of his doing or his pit crew doing, but he was like having to drive through a chicane as he was leaving his pit box. Now, this is his stop. He has that opening behind him. Now, watch, these guys on the Singler crew have a great pit stop, no real issues. Little slow on the right front, but a pretty solid stop. But when he leaves pit road is when he has all types of problems.
Kyle Petty in just in front of him.
Watch him dodge these cars.
Second caution of the day complete. Let's go back to green. Ryan Newman stayed out to lead a lap and then pitted. He's the only driver other than Denny Hamlin to lead a lap here today. Jeff Burton, as we documented, lost 3 spots getting out of his pit box and up and into line. Not through any fault of his own, just heavy traffic, cars going in as he tried to come out. He's going to get one of those back from Kasey Kahne.
Restarts are a little bit tricky here, Mike. You know, all passing to the right. And sometimes off that turn 3 back there, a guy will get a run and he doesn't know what to do. He jumps down to the left side before he gets here to the line. You got to keep an eye on that.
Tony Stewart had a look under Kahne, thought better of it. Vickers behind him, who picked up a spot from Dale Jr. on this lap. Jr. now 9th.
That's what makes you good here at Pocono, being able to get back to that throttle quickly and get it wide open.
Hey, end of last week's race all over again. Jamie McMurray, Matt Kenseth, side by side.
And remember, Kevin Harvick was in that mix a week ago, too, in that 29 car.
Yeah, Jamie's saying, not you again.
Yeah, and Mark Martin, too. He was up there.
Boy, Kevin Harvick had to jump out of the throttle right there because he was running out of racetrack at the bottom of turn 2. And look how much ground he's going to lose.
You can race 3 wide down these long straightaways, but they're coming to the bottom of the funnel right down here. Hello. Everybody single file.
Right in front of them, Bobby Labonte, the Cheerios car. New spotter this week, Eddie DeHaan, is going to spot the next few races for Labonte.
Attaboy, keep coming out.
And that's Eddie. Eddie's voice, that is.
Keep coming.
Here comes Bobby under Carl Edwards.
Keep it coming. Bobby likes this place. The King liked this place, too.
Bobby started back in the 23rd position in this 43 car, and right now he's battling Carl Edwards for the 12th spot.
You see the blue on that number 43. That harkens back to the days when Richard Petty won a bunch of races here and just about everywhere. In making the Cars movie, the Pixar folks tried very hard to duplicate 2 shades of blue. The blue on the King's car and the blue of Paul Newman's eyes for that old Hudson. Robbie Gordon's taken his car to the garage. Here's Dick.
Well, it's a right side body damage, Mike, but the real problem is that the radiator has a hole in it. How did that happen?
I don't know, must have got a rock through the front or something like that, but I don't see anything in the ductwork. But when we came in, the water was spraying right out through the front of the screen. So, man, can't have bad days like today. This is what's going to get us outside this top 35. And Menard Chevrolet was running good. We drove up into 18th, and all of a sudden it started getting hot.
This is a team that just needs a little luck, Mike.
You bet.
The reason we have curbs here is because we used to run off the racetrack, particularly at the tunnel turn, and throw rocks all over the racetrack. So Mattioli went over there and put some curbing in to keep us out of the rocks. Sounds like he may have gotten a rock picked up there in his radiator. That's why all that curbing is right through the tunnel turn right there. We used to clip that down into the grass.
Then they took that curbing and put alligator teeth in it to keep you from clipping the curb.
And then we tore up tires because of the alligator curb. So that second turn has been a work in progress for how many years? 30?
Third place, Jeff Burton.
He's picking them up and mowing them down.
Here's how you, the singular crew chiefs, voted. Well, by a margin of 5-3. Jeff Gordon will make the chase. And remember, when you participate in Singular Virtual Crew Chief, you're automatically entered to win Jeff Burton's payoff for the July race in Daytona.
I want to follow up on something Robbie Gordon said. He talked about staying in the top 35. And what he meant by that, every week we go to the racetrack, the top 35 teams, the top 35 in owner points, they are locked into the show, not necessarily where they start. And that's something Robbie experienced the entire season. Last year, he was out of the top 35, had to qualify for each event on time.
Basically, the top 35, actually, if you include the champion, that would take, everybody has a provisional. The top 35 basically all have provisionals. They're going to make the race no matter what.
Sixth place battle here. Kasey Kahne trying to hold off Brian Vickers. Sweeps up high, but Vickers is going to have the line, and he will take the spot into turn 1, Steve.
Mike Casey Kane's been battling a loose race car. On the last pit stop, they made a track bar adjustment, then tweaked the air on the right side tires, half a pound in the right front, half a pound out of the right rear.
Thanks, Steve. Tony Stewart made a run at Jimmy Johnson down in turn number 1. Follows him across the tunnel.
When you're a little loose, you'll drop a little air out of that right rear tire. It's just like softening up the right rear spring. It's going to make it bite a little bit better.
And here comes Tony.
Tony got such a good run off turn 2 and was able to carry the momentum down what we call the short straightaway. Now he takes the 5th position away from Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
That straightaway, I think, is only, what, 1,700 feet across there roughly, and we get up to 185 miles an hour across there.
Earlier, you were told about brake trouble for Greg Biffle. He made a long pit stop, and he has recovered to run about 25th spot, Matt.
Restarted in the 34th position. Now they raised the hood, Mike, under that caution. Looked at the brake fluid. He had brake fluid. They bled the brakes. He now says he does have some pedal, not 100%, but he does have some pedal back. Meanwhile, the guy who's been out front for every lap except for one today, Denny Hamlin in the 11. His car was a little free, but not bad. No changes at last stop. But his biggest concern is something DW's talked a lot about. Don't beat yourself by over-driving the race car. His spotter, Curtis Markham, and his crew chief, Mike Ford, keep telling him, conservation, take it easy on your brakes. The wheels look great as far as excessive brake dust on their first stop.
The other thing that you got to think about, it used to bother me a little bit when we have cool temperatures like this. You go out on the Saturday practice, you get everything really, really hot. Brakes are hot, engine's hot, car sets overnight under a car cover. Moisture, and moisture gets in your brake fluid, you boil the fluid. And so that could be an issue for the 16 car.
Brian Vickers moves up and passes Jimmy Johnson for 6th place. Last year, here was the closest Vickers has come to winning an Nextel Cup race. He led 60% of the laps and finished 2nd.
And it's obvious that, again, this car qualified 4th, but on that pit stop, remember, this car was very loose off of turn 2, that first run, like his teammates. Lance McGrew, the crew chief, made some changes. That's right.
You know what? It's relief for him. He's been under so much pressure to run good. Now the pressure's off. I'm not going to be here anymore. He can go do his job probably better than he's ever done it before.
Might win a race or two. Ryan Newman racing hard to get into the chase for the Nextel Cup. Stayed out to lead a lap during a caution flag earlier. You do that from now through Richmond, that's 65 extra points, Dick.
Yeah, but they have struggled, Mike, all weekend long with Ryan Newman's car. Newman currently running in the 24th spot. Started this race in the 14th position. It's a brand new car, and they just don't seem to have the handle on it. It's loose some places, tight other places, and they just didn't know what to do before the race today to try to fix it in one spot without messing it up in another. But the good news is Ryan Newman just told the crew on the radio that the car is better now. They pulled the fenders, they made a wedge change, and it's going a little better. Thank you.
This team just continues to search for what this race car is looking for on into these races. Now, Denny Hamlin, 11 car, you heard Matt talk about him being just a little bit loose. Mike Ford, his crew chief's got to be careful and not adjust that very much. Why? Because right now he's in clean air. He has all that downforce on the nose, so they don't want to tighten that thing up too much, because you get back in traffic, it's going to be way too tight.
I heard a driver say something yesterday I hadn't really thought about. I'm body tight and chassis loose.
Wow.
Fix that, crew chief.
You're right. Hamlin has led 33 of 34 laps on a windy day at Pocono. By the way, Flag Day is this week.
Perfect.
Car, they're telling him, just take your time. Bobby Hudson, a spotter. We have plenty of time to get to the front. We've got a great race car. Just be patient.
Now, guys, our second biggest mover is the man that finished 2nd in Nashville. We're riding here with him in the direct TV, Richard Childers Chevrolet. Clint Boyer, he started back in 42nd. He is now up there battling his teammate Kevin Harvick. Clint's in the 17th position, another one of our rookies. Remember, no one could come test here at Pocono because of the testing policy. What Clint did, he came up here a couple of weeks ago. They have like a ride and drive called the stock car experience. Clint came up here, made some laps in that stock car experience just to get acclimated to this racetrack.
The other thing he did, Larry, is the reason he started so far back, he hit the curb qualifying, and that car jumped all the way sideways and killed his momentum on his qualifying run. Jeff, what you got?
DW, what else I saw yesterday down in the garage area during that final practice was Todd Barrier, after they finished practicing the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, Todd Barrier went down to work with Gil Martin. You see right now, Clint Boyer is closing in on Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. But at the end of yesterday's practice, Jeff Burton, the other RCR car, was at the top of the leaderboard. Richard Childers' 29 was up there in the top 10, but Clint Boyer was struggling. But these guys are working together so much with this rookie, and I think this whole company is showing a lot of strength so far this year. And I think this is a good indication why this car's really moved up and looking so strong today.
You know, Jeff, I also heard from some of the Hendrick drivers that they are now debriefing after practice. They're going in the trailer and sitting down and talking about their race cars corporately to what they can do to make all the cars better. Then you think about yesterday when we watched Elliott Sadler jump out of his car, run over and jump in Dale Jarrett's car, and run both cars yesterday because Dale wasn't here. So I think this is an indication of what the teams are preparing for next year, because that's what Toyota does better than anybody I've seen come in this sport.
You have a word for this.
Co-opetition, but now that's cooperation when you're working with your teammates.
So Boyer, one rookie in 17th, Martin Truex in 11th, and Denny Hamlin the leader. None of the rookies have ever raced here at Pocono before today. Look at that lead. It's 5.7 seconds and growing.
Well, you know why? He's running 55 sevens. The other guys are running 56 ones and twos. He's just checked out. He's in another zip code. He's down about Blakesley.
Jeff Burton is third. Here's fourth and fifth. And Steve, Brian Vickers, he is moving toward the front. It's taken him a while to get there, but he's on a roll.
Yeah, the improvements they made to that 25 car on the pit stop have helped Mike Joy. Now here's what Brian Vickers said now. In turn 1, I'm real good. Turn 2, decent. Turn 3, I'm loose all the way through. He says he feels like a lot of the other drivers are getting tight in turn 1. And don't forget, Brian Vickers led over 120 laps here a year ago before finishing second.
Think about it, Brian has 5 starts here, including today. He's never started outside the top 10, always qualifies well here.
Well, and the other thing is Rick Hendrick has 10 wins here, Mike. And right now he's got 3 cars in the top 10. So those cars always have run well here. They've got what I love. They handle down those straightaways, and what do we got a lot of here?
Straightaways. Rick Hendrick's 10 wins leads the league. Roger Penske, who has 2 cars in this race, has 7 Pocono victories. Denny Hamlin at 43 laps now with a 6-second lead over Kurt Busch.
Bit. That's just a minor little kiss. I don't think it really hurt anything, but you just run out of room over there. And he almost did this qualifying the other day. He did a very similar thing, but I don't even think he skint the paint on that baby. I know he didn't blow any flames out.
No, just getting little Pocono prints on his fenders there.
But he did bring his buddy there behind him a little closer.
Stewart still on the recovery from that cracked shoulder blade. Drove only 24 laps at Dover before being relieved by Ricky Rudd. He's been in the car the whole weekend here. Says he feels much better. The doctors have said that only rest and time will cure that injury. But Stewart going to go the distance, and he moves up to 5th place.
Guys that drive race cars, they're different. They can handle the pain. They can handle situations like this better than other athletes can. Why? Because we don't have to carry the car. We just have to drive it.
And the thing about it, it's been 2 weeks since those wreck-it lows, and Tony said in the pre-race, you know, how demanding Dover was. He's actually got 2 pretty easy races on that shoulder here at Pocono, next week in MIS, Michigan International Raceway, but in 2 weeks, he'll have his work cut out for him at that road course out at Sonoma.
And that's the hardest thing to do when that right wing is hurting, is reach up there and grab that shifting pole and change gears. It's hard to do, man. It hurts really, really bad. Be hard to do on a road course if he's not 100%.
Look how hard Brian Vickers is trying to run down and pass Jeff Burton. He just slid the car. Oh, heck, the leader!
The leader's in trouble.
Hamlin crashes.
Sounds like a tire.
I was going to say, it sounds like a tire. Caution is out.
Oh, you can hear the tire flapping around. Must be a
left
right
rear.
It's a rear tire.
Left rear.
Yep.
Now, we were about 8 to 10 laps away from what would be scheduled green flag pit stops.
Now, if that thing flies apart, it'll rip that whole quarter panel off the car. So he's got to limp it back to the pits. Plenty of time here to get in and out of the pits. You can see the damage already done to the quarter panel.
Larry, what else could he tear up under there?
Well, the biggest thing, I think, is not destroying that body back there any more than it already is.
Tunnel turn.
Just going along, you can see the tires soft, and here it comes flying apart. Not a whole lot you can do at 200 miles an hour. He's trying to slow down, even though it may not look like it, but man, he's really lucky that he didn't back that thing in the fence.
Very lucky. Now, he's on the access road over in turn 3. He is almost to pit road now as we speak.
The pace car is just now coming off the onto the back straightaway, so he's got plenty of time to get to the pits.
Let's ride and listen with Denny Hamlin.
Now, he has brought the car to pit road, and the pits are closed, but he can't afford to ride around out there on the racetrack. He can start at the end of the longest line, and that's a lot better than tearing your car all to pieces. Matt.
And he is in now. Curtis Markham, his spotters, keeping Mike Ford abreast of where the pace car is. They're going to have to pull the sheet metal out. They were looking at our video on their computer screens on top of the pit box, assessing the damage. You can see how it has ripped a hole where the seat post meets the fender. Barry Cook, the tire changer, keeping Mike Ford abreast of the damage inside the wheel well. Now they're going to be putting some big tape patches inside and where the damage is. What an impressive spin and save by Denny Hamlin. Mike, I bet he didn't do that on the video game.
Surely not, Matt.
The reason they want to seal that up, Mike, is heat and exhaust fumes. They got to get that area up there in front of the left rear tire sealed off because they don't want all those fumes and heat coming up in the car.
Now, the pace car's coming right now, but the good thing about his pit selection, by sitting on the pole, he's that very last pit exiting, so he will beat the pace car off of pit road. He stays on the lead lap.
We have pit stop. Steve.
Brian Vickers wants to be just a little bit tighter in 1 and 3. They put on 4 tires. A little bit of a problem on the left rear. Also a track bar adjustment, Dick.
Well, when Denny Hamlin dropped out, that allowed Kurt Busch to cross the start-finish line as the leader. He's picked up 5 bonus points. They have backed up on the adjustments that they made in the first pit stop because they didn't work. Matt.
Now Bobby McKeith, as the cars are rolling off pit road, the car chief will go to work on the master cylinder again. He said that when they looked at it the first time, the brake fluid was boiling. Doug Richard watching the work going on. Now McKeith actually was on his cell phone talking to crew members back at the shop, trying to diagnose what the issue is. Now, they bled the brakes the first time. You can see a ton of brake dust came off that right front.
And the good thing about the repairs they're trying to make, as well as the repairs on Denny Hamlin, the 11 car, is a caution lap here is about 2 1/4 to 2.5 minutes, which is as much as you have almost anywhere.
One of the things I'd be a little concerned about if I'm a crew member is cracking that brake bleeder and that brake fluid coming out on those hot brakes catching on fire. You got to watch that.
Now Jeff Burton got a real good launch off pit road this time, unlike last time, Larry.
Yeah, let's look at the race off of pit road after pit stops were completed. Kurt Busch in the 2 car barely beats Jeff Burton in the 31 off pit road. There comes Tony Stewart in the 20, Jimmy Johnson in the 48.
Long stop for Kenny Schrader and Scott Briggs. Denny Hamlin is now back on pit road.
Not a heat problem in that area. So we've lost the camera right now, but Mike, it's not a problem, I think, at Pocono. You got the long straightaways to cool all the master cylinders off. I think it goes right back to what Darrell was saying earlier. They've got moisture in, they've got moisture in the system, so what they're doing is really taking this off, filling it up with fresh fluid, and they've got to purge that system by bleeding it out. And using the right front or the right rear is the best 2 places so you can push all that fluid out and get brakes to the front of this car.
That's what it is. You run so hard, use so much brake here that when practice is over, remember this cat had to haul out of here, had to leave. They push to stop the car on pit road. He gets a tire sheet. They push it in the garage. They work on it. It sets overnight. It was 40 degrees here last night. That moisture accumulates in those calipers, and as soon as the heat builds again, you got no brakes.
More work on Denny Hamlin's car on that left rear. He's able to do that and pit as many times as he wants. As long as we keep running here under caution, he won't lose a lap. Now, how about Tony Stewart's day, Dick Berggren?
Oh, it's going just great, Mike. After failing to finish the race, and he had to have Ricky Rudd drive for him last week at Dover, he is doing terrific in the car. He said early on in this event today, he felt a little bit of soreness, but that the soreness has gone away. And just a lap or so ago, he was very curious about what's going on with Denny Hamlin. A lot of conversation about that. Stewart running in third spot, having a good day.
The veteran and champion. Welcome back to Pocono as we get ready for the restart after the third caution flag of the day. I got it fixed. I don't know how long it'll stay. So that's Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter and the driver who led most of the first 49 laps today.
And the driver who's almost a half lap down because he kept coming in out of the pits as if they wasn't going green this time by. But there they go, and he's just getting to turn 3.
And you know what's interesting is when the car I worked on, I know Jeff Hammond was in the same boat, was in that much trouble. I wanted to go across that wall and work on it and look at it myself at times to know what I had. But to go across the wall, it doesn't matter if you're a crew chief or what. You have to have a fire suit. You have to have a helmet on before you can go across that wall.
As Kurt Busch leads, the other issue on Hamlin was he never really caught up to the pack before coming on to pit road. So he would restart half a lap down by stopping every time. He is still on the lead lap, however.
Yeah, he wasn't doing himself any favors by trying to catch up with the back of the field and then pitting. He was doing it before they got all the way around.
Well, cousin Carl Edwards in the 99 car, remember, started this race in the 40th position, the winner from Nashville last night. 58 laps into this 200-lap race, he is knocking on the door of the top 5 all over the rear bumper of Jeff Gordon in the 24.
And I was so impressed with Carl and all these guys really that showed up in Nashville. No practice, qualified. They jumped in those cars and all of them qualified in the top 10.
For the lead, Jeff Burton getting a close look at Kurt Busch.
And I think he will complete this pass by the time they get over there to the next corner.
A winner in the Busch Series at Dover a week ago. Burton trying to help right the fortunes of Richard Childress Racing, which comes in here with 2 of their 3 cars poised to make the chase for the Nextel Cup, and it would be the first time a Childress car has made it.
And when we're riding with Jeff Burton, the last 7 races, 6 top 10 finishes. He has went from 21st to 7th in points in this race car.
This is the 12th race that Jeff Burton has led at Pocono, but the first time he's been out in front of the field in nearly 3 years. Speaking of orange cars, here comes Tony.
And he is right around the bottom of these corners. You saw how much ground he made up off of turn 1 that last time.
I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind what a gutsy guy Tony Stewart is, and today is just another good example of it.
One driver said this week, and I forget who, Tony Stewart at 80% is still better than 50% of the field.
I agree.
This is Tony's 8th year in Nextel Cup. His next top 5 finish will be his 100th career top 5. That's a lot of top 5s in a short time.
Right behind him, point leader Jimmy Johnson, and behind him, Jeff Gordon in the DuPont 24. 3 seconds off the lead in 5th, Steve.
And Mike, early in this race, Jeff Gordon said he was great getting into turn 1. On that last pit stop, he said it's so twitchy getting to 1. I can't get on the throttle, and I'm really loose in the middle of the tunnel turn. If I turn in there too aggressively, it wants to break loose. Mike, they made big adjustments to that car. Air, pressure, wedge, and track bar.
Thanks, Steve.
It just seems to me like they start the race every time, pretty good shape. Every time they pit, instead of making the car better, they never can seem to get it where it needs to be. They make it worse.
Brian Vickers right with Gordon. Let's cycle back to 12th place. Ryan Newman of Mark Martin. Newman a little loose. Here comes Mark. makes the pass for 12th place and sets off after Kevin Harvick.
It's a little give and take right there. I mean, the 12 went out a little wide, gave the 6 the line. He knew he was a little quicker. That's what Mark would do if he was driving the 12. Ryan knows that. Let him go.
Now the car right behind Ryan Newman, Casey Kane in the 9 car, started this race in 3rd position. After that last pit stop, he fell back to 17th. Steve Burns was telling me they decided to get an aggressive adjustment on that race car. He'd been loose. They pulled a rubber out of the right rear. Now he's marching back towards the front.
Oh, trouble for Schrader. And the Little Debbie's 21 is cut down.
Caution's out for debris. Caution's out.
Cut down a left
Nice
rear.
and easy. Just don't tear it up.
Caution is out. Good news for Hamlin, who will catch up with the pack.
Well, don't forget what my buddy down there in the Hollywood Hotel said before the race started. All those left side tire trouble that we had here the last year, he said we might see that again today. And Jeff, I don't know if you're on or not, but good call, buddy.
There's the debris from, we believe, from Schrader's car, crush panel. And Robbie Gordon is the free pass car. He's 16 laps down, but back on track. Jeff?
Daryl, thanks. But what's going on out there, according to some of the Goodyear engineers this morning that I talked to, a lot of the guys are going below that minimum that they want to see in left side tire pressure. We talk about it a lot of times, but here at Pocono, that's 20 pounds on the left side. They believe some guys have been dropping below that, and that still creates an issue as far as, even though it's a left side tire, you can destroy the integrity of this tire as far as the sidewall is concerned and make it go flat.
Yeah, when you get to the air so low in the tire, it works the sidewall. It'll work that sidewall until it finally blows out. So that's what low air, it feels good. Oh man, it gives you some grip, but
now,
the tire won't take it.
Denny Hamlin's on pit road. Now, pit road is closed, but this is still a good move. This gives them a lot more time. The penalty for pitting too soon, tailing the longest line, they're going to be back there anyhow.
Now, he could come out and end up the leader. That's happened to Jamie McMurray last week. If he comes out and if everybody else pits,
he's still going to have to serve the penalty, though, for pitting too soon.
Oh, that penalty. Yeah. Gee, it sounded like such a plan.
Yeah. Sounded great for a second there.
And that's why they have penalties.
Now, I think what we're going to see here, it's only been about 4 or 5 laps since we went back racing. I think you'll see a lot of these cars possibly come to pit road for fuel, but I don't know that you're going to see a lot of them change 4 tires simply because we've only been out there 3 or 4 laps. But you can't forget about the left side tire problems we're having either.
Yeah, and the fuel is so critical. I mean, you know, a couple of gallons of fuel here is big, baby. Especially when we get later in the run.
4 laps under green, it's 10 miles. That's 2 gallons of that Sunoco race fuel.
Looks like the top 4 or 5, 6 stayed out. Kyle Busch in the 5 and Matt Kenseth. Now Kyle Busch went back out on the racetrack, but he made before the commit cone, so it looks like about the top 10 or 12 stayed out. Rest of the cars are on pit road.
I'd have to come right now and get me a little Petro.
Never give up an opportunity to put fuel in these race cars.
A couple of close calls there. And Bobby Labonte getting fuel and tires. So is Jeff Green.
Well, Mike, a lot of times if you only got a couple, 3 laps on a set of tires, you might pull them off right now and say, well, if you want buff tires later on, we got a set laying here.
And Jimmy Spencer getting tires as well. Scott Riggs, tire change. And Kyle Petty. So we're working the 4th caution flag of the day for a cut tire on Kenny Schrader's, number 21.
A year for Mears. Greg Biffle trying to move up. Problems in the pits.
Yeah, they experienced a brake failure right there. You see the team having to try to bleed the brakes out. He is back on the racetrack.
Rookie Denny Hamlin, pole sitter, led 49 of the first 50 laps, was rolling along, and then that left rear tire failure at about 200 miles per hour makes a nice save, but it cost him big time.
Yeah, they're back there working on that car. You can see the damage done to the left rear of the car plus the battery, but the team has effected repairs. He's running 35th right at the moment.
And it's been a Visa race break, no matter what it takes. Life takes Visa. Kurt Busch took the lead. Moments ago, Jeff Burton took it from him. 161 races since Jeff Burton has won his last Cup race.
Yeah, but I think right now he probably has the car at least to beat, because in yesterday's final practice, he was at the fastest car out there. He really liked the way his car worked. The team worked around shocks and a front sway bar. He said, guys, I'm 99% sure I've got what I need for tomorrow, and right now he's definitely got what he needs.
So far, the driver's a little bit all over the place, but making some nice moves. You know, most of the guys will tell you they fear more than anything, more than a wreck or a tire going out, is fire. That's something Jeff addressed, and the help that they get if that is the case. This is our State Farm Safety Report.
Chris, what you run into when you're on pit road, you never know when something might go wrong. So firefighters or rescue personnel, they have the necessary equipment as far as a fire suit and a fire extinguisher in the event that we do have a problem here on pit road. There's one station in each and every one of the pit roads. And a year ago, or at least, you know, in one of the races here at Pocono, you'll notice here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. down pit road. He has a brake problem and as well as a tire problem. You see on the left front, the firefighter comes in, knocks the fire down. Even though the crew continues to change tires, he's already knocked effective repairs. Also, sometimes a little gas will spill on pit road. You never know when it may break out. And so this is where you got to have backups. You'll see the firefighter come in and try to put the fire out. His extinguisher is not working properly, but look what happens. There's always a backup. This is where the crew member comes over with his own fire extinguisher, knocks it down, nobody's hurt. These guys are always welcome whenever you have these kind of problems as we go back to green, Chris.
Jeff Burton hauls them off into turn one. In front of Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson, Brian Vickers, and Jeff Gordon. What's interesting about this restart is 12th place is Greg Biffle. Biffle had those brake problems, but on this caution flag, Biffle did not pit and moved up in the running order to 12th. There he is battling Dave Blaney.
Biffle said, I don't need no stinking brakes anyway. I'm just going to drive this thing.
Yeah, the top 13 cars stayed out on that caution. Of course, we only had about 3 or 4 laps on their tires. The top running car right now that pitted, Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, he's in the 15th position.
Always love this racetrack, that long shot like that. Cars jumping out of line, 3 and 4 wide down the front straightaway. Always reminds me of Neil Bonnet when he was won the race here. Looked like a serpentine going down the straightaways, in and out.
I tell you what, nice recovery by Reed Sorensen in the 41 cars. We see Tony Stewart in the 20. He's going to bring Brian Vickers. Both of them will go by Jimmy Johnson in the 48. That is a battle for third, no longer a battle.
Yeah, Reed Sorensen did get a free pass, and he's also worked his way up through to 14th position.
Well, you see all the repair on the right front fender Jimmy Elledge and that crew made, because back on lap 20, he slapped the wall pretty hard, spun out through the infield grass over on the short chute.
Had the same problem last night. Got his whole right side torn up in an early crash.
10th place right here.
Look at him.
Fan out. You're right about that race with Neal. He'd come off 3. He'd sweep all the way down to the pit wall to try to break the draft on the following cars. Jackie Stewart was doing the TV commentary, and he called that dangerous driving, very dangerous. And he and Neal had words over it.
Yeah, it wasn't dangerous. It's pretty smart, really. If it's dangerous, we were all guilty of it. That's all I know.
You'll see it here, and you'll see it next week on the front stretch at Michigan as well.
All the way down on the apron there.
I definitely would say Matt Borland, that group in the 12 car with Brian Newman, they're getting this thing better. We've got a caution.
He's in the wall without a wheel. It
Kyle
is
Petty
Kyle
in the 45 car.
Right, sir. Is that tire, is it wheel brake?
It's what it looks like, a broken wheel. I was thinking the same thing.
Yikes. The center is still
yeah,
in
but look
the
at
wheel.
this. Look at the holes. I think maybe the holes are. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Well, the holes would be elongated if one of the lug nuts was left loose. Can't
sure
tell.
looked like the holes were a lot bigger than they normally would.
And just remember, it's only been 3 or 4 laps. Kyle Petty was definitely one of the cars that made a pit stop on that last caution in the 45 car. Now this is where this group here, those top 13 cars that did not pit the last caution, this is where they're in a little bit of a box on a decision whether to pit now or not.
Yeah, they got to come now. Let's see if we can see what happened to Kyle back here. Oh, wow.
That's a hard lick. Fortunately, the safer barrier in place there.
Boy,
it's like as soon as he hit the brake, the wheel took right off.
Oh, no. I think he knocked it off. It's a hard enough lick to tear it off.
And remember, we've made note all weekend long at the end of that straightaway, the Long Pond straightaway, over 190 miles per hour when you get there.
I've seen some of the ugliest crashes that I've ever seen anywhere right there in turn 2, the tunnel turn here at Pocono. Dale got hurt there, broke his shoulder.
Bobby Allison
got severely, don't tell me,
right,
hurt terribly there.
Davey Allison had a
crash
too. And they'll take Kyle Petty for the mandatory checkup at the care center and haul the car back. Pit road will be open.
And I think you're going to see most of these guys at the front come to pit road. There comes Jeff Burton, Tony Stewart, but it looks like Kurt Busch, Brian Vickers' cars did not pit while ago, including Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr. They stayed out, Steve.
Yeah, Larry, back Jeff Gordon, he's been really fighting it, getting into turn 1. He's talked about being twitchy and loose all over. Let's go to Dick.
Jeff Burton on pit road. The initial decision was for him to stay out, to not pit at all. But here he is, Matty.
The two-time Pocono winner, Jimmy Johnson, is in. Now they've made a track bar adjustment. He wants to go in the same direction that they went on the last stop, and that's went up one round on the track bar, pulling a spring rubber. Timmy Latiga, the rear tire changer, pulled that out of the left rear. The car is still too tight across all 3 corners.
Jeff Burton wins the race off pit road.
And we had about 13 or 14 cars that pitted in. A lot of those cars, like the top 5 you see right there, that was cars that stayed out the last caution.
So Kurt Busch is the race leader, and now he's stayed out the last 2 cautions.
And when you look, yeah, about the top 7 right there, they have not been on pit road the last 2 cautions. The last time they were there was roughly lap 52, about 18 laps ago.
Well, unlike a lot of racetracks we go to, if you did have to pit under green, you're not going to lose a lap. And so, you know, strategy, you can do a little bit different things here than you might say at a Dover or even a Charlotte.
Yeah, if you are up there leading the race or in touch with the leader, most definitely you can make a 4-tire stop here and still stay on the lead lap, a lot like a road course. Now you see Jeff Burton, the 31 car, Scott Miller, the crew chief, they have the opening behind them. Now the pit in front of them was Kyle Petty in the 45 car, so now they actually have an opening behind them and in front of them. Pretty open area there to make that 4-tire stop.
Oh, that's ideal. So Kurt Busch is our leader as we work the 5th caution flag of the day. Kenny Schrader is the free pass car at the tunnel turn. Now Kurt Busch on the last 2 cautions has stayed on the racetrack. Why, Dick Berggren?
Well, I'm going to ask his crew chief, Roy McCauley. I mean, the guys in front of you, behind you, everybody seemed to pit except you. Why?
Well, actually, not everybody pitted. They had 4 cars come out of our group that pitted. The Miller Lite Dodge is feeling pretty reasonable, and track position is pretty important. We had 25 laps of fuel left, so we wanted to see where we could get to here. And it may work, it may not, but that's part of it's all part of playing poker, isn't it?
He's obviously feeling lucky today, Mike.
Thanks, Dick. So, what, the top 7 cars?
Top 7. Brian Vickers, Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kyle Busch, Kurt Busch's teammate Ryan Newman, and Greg Biffle will join the 2 cars. They've not been on pit road since lap 52.
And remember, Biffle went from brake trouble in the tail end of the lead lap to 7th place by staying out these last 2 cautions. Those are the easiest cars you'll pass all day, the ones that are in the pits while you're out on the racetrack.
Well, and I think Darrell made a great point. You look at Kurt Busch in the 2 car. He's going to be like Denny Hamlin was early in the race out there in clean air, all the downforce on the nose. And let's just say he gets to where he has to make a green flag stop. He's still probably going to stay on the lead lap if they don't have a problem.
3 wide mid-pack. We've seen that a lot today.
Tell you what, I can't believe how wide and how high they go down in turn 1 now. We would have been hollering caution 4 or 5 years ago here. They have really widened the turnout down there.
Inside lane, Kenseth.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. But there's a reason. It's gotten really rough down low.
They try to get single file by turn 2. Kenseth picked up a spot, as did Harvick.
Well, turn 2 truly is like a funnel. It's got all kind of room going down there, but when you get there, it's a single file deal.
Tony Stewart to the outside, as he's done on every restart. But now he's got Tony Raines just ahead and drops to the inside.
Uh-oh. Something's got to give.
Something's got to give before you get to turn 1, that's for sure.
Most guys would assume if Mark's involved, it'd probably be Mark.
For the lead, Brian Vickers, who led the most laps here last year, trying to lead for the first time today.
And just look right behind these 2 guys right here. Remember, the man that started back in 40th position, Carl Edwards, in that 99 car. Kurt Busch going to fight back on the inside as they go up the short sheet.
Put the crossover move on him. You can do that there at the turn 2.
Clear, nice and easy, clear.
Ease it in, gas it up.
But he got up on the curb, Darrell, inside the corner, and here comes Vickers right again.
I'll tell you one thing, you watch that 25 car, you think they'll have some smoke on the hood?
But while these guys continue to go side by side, you see Carl Edwards in the 99 car as well as Dale Earnhardt Jr. in that Budweiser car. It's going to be a 4-car group here in a second.
You know, Junebug is just, I'll tell you, we haven't talked a whole lot about him, but he's been hanging around right at the back of the first 4 or 5 cars here. And he's in pretty darn good shape sitting there in 4th place. Oh, she's singing a pretty song.
And into the mix, bring Vickers' young teammate. If a 22-year-old can have a young teammate, it would be Kyle Busch in the 5 car. He's in 5th place. Greg Biffle's gained a spot. He's moved up to 6th. Ryan Newman battling for 7th against Matt Kenseth. And looks like advantage Kenseth right here. Not really.
Now remember, Matt Kenseth, he's one of the cars that pitted on that caution back on lap 62. He did not pit the last caution.
What is Kevin Harvick doing?
He's going by the 17.
Wow.
Matt got down low and couldn't get back to the throttle. Kevin swung around on the outside. Matt pretty much had to let him go.
A little give and take there.
Yeah, Kevin didn't give him an extra inch in the corner, did he?
No. Coming off that corner at about 160 mile an hour, I expect.
Riding with Jeff Burton here in the 31 car. Jeff has fought his way back to the 17th position, actually battling his teammate Clint Boyer in the DirecTV 07 car.
One thing about Jeff Burton is you'll hear him feather that throttle all day long. On, off, on, off, on, off before he mats it.
Listen to him. He's a finesse driver. He's not an on-off. He's a smooth. Listen to him. Little gas, nice and smooth. Little gas and then mat it.
Darrell, it's almost like he got across those bumps before he matted it. He let it go across there.
He's got a good feel for a race car. There's no question about that. Listen to him here. Easy, easy, easy. Now go.
The pit stop put him back in 17th place, but I think that's one of the cars you're going to have to work to beat today.
Now watch this right here as he gets off into turn 1. Stays on that brake for quite a bit.
You'd like to be able to get your braking done before you get into the corner. You'd like to, this is like a road course. You try to brake while you're still going straight.
Pulling up on Joe Nemechek. Joe's son, John Hunter, turns 9 today. Happy birthday, John Hunter. And Joe's sponsor, the U.S. Army, has a birthday this week as well. Commissioned by the Continental Congress, June 14th, 1775. Jeff Burton trying to get back to the front as we listened in.
Yeah, 10-4. I mean, that's the deal right there. That's just, you know, caution come out at the wrong time. I mean, I had to make that decision, but if everything happens shortly here, they're going to start peeling off in front of us, and it'll be okay.
That's Scott Miller, his crew chief, and what he was talking about, remember, they were one of the cars that stayed out on the caution back on lap 61, and what he was hoping we'd get a fairly long green run there, but we got a caution just 3 or 4 laps later, and Scott Miller was just a little afraid not to make a pit stop that time with 18 to 20 laps on the tank of fuel.
Greg Biffle was closing on Kyle Busch, coming down the short chute, and then suddenly the car twitched and he backed way off.
The tunnel turn just does weird things to you like that. You're coming across there, you got good grip, got power down, that thing will jump sideways on you, and you just got to get out of the throttle.
But I think the big thing that Greg Biffle and that entire crew, Doug Richards, the crew chief and all, with 120 laps to go, do they have all the brake problems solved on this race car?
Denny Hamlin led 49 laps, cut down a tire, and fell to the tail end of the lead lap. Ryan Vickers has climbed to the front.
It's the same car that Michael Waltrip put on the pole here last year and had a terrific run. It's also the car Robbie Gordon threw his helmet at New Hampshire last year.
Hey, that helmet raised a lot of money for charity after that.
Yeah.
It did do that. Now, the car right behind Dale Earnhardt Jr., Ryan Newman in the 7th spot. Now, let's set up our top 7. Right now, he's got his hands full of Casey Kane in the 9. The top 7, all the way back to Ryan Newman, they have not been on pit road since lap 52. We're at lap 86. Within the next 6 to 8 laps, the top 7 will have to make a pit stop. And I think the guys that are going to be borderline staying on the lead lap will be a car like Ryan Newman, who right now is almost 9 seconds behind the leader. It's got to be a picture-perfect pit stop for him to stay on the lead lap.
Among the cars that pitted and that have led today, Jeff Burton's back up to 11th. And what about our pole sitter, Denny Hamlin?
Yeah, Mike, he restarted 35th on lap 74, and he's already worked his way back up inside the top 20. He's running 18th right now and running really fast lap times. He's been in the pits a lot, so I got to believe when these other guys start to peel off on the pit road, he's going to be right up near the front again.
Matt has more.
After all that bodywork repair, Mike, as you're on board, the 11 makes his move on the inside of Jeff Gordon. He's been snug, a little tight most of the day. Now he has been free through the tunnel turn and turn 3, but he just keeps on digging, trying to work his way back to the front.
Well, I'm going to tell you who is not making their way to the front is the car he just went by, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. Darrell, you talked about it early. It just looks like they're not keeping up with the racetrack. The handling's getting worse on this 24 car. You know, a car right in front of Jeff Gordon that Denny Hamlin's about to go by him right now, that would be his teammate J.J. Yaley in the 18 car. Remember, he was in trouble early, had the flat tire coming to pit road, had to go to the rear of the field, and Denny has worked his way back almost to the top 15 with this 18 car.
I'll tell you one thing, that 11 car, though, he's catching guys and passing them. He doesn't fool around. He gets right on by them. He's still bad fast.
Whoa, Reed Sart's a little loose there.
Yeah, but watch how he gets positioned. Then he does it in the 11. He's gone.
And the good thing about it, Darrell, Mike Ford and that crew, which you've got to give a 2 thumbs up for the repairs they made. Most of the repairs had nothing to do with really the handling of this car. It was all inside that wheel opening and around the battery area.
Yeah, which could be a big aerodynamic issue. If you was taking a lot of air up in that wheel well, it could blow the trunk open on the thing. You get so much turbulence under there.
Now our point leader, Jimmy Johnson, just ahead of Hamlin, but his lap times are about 0.3 of a second slower than Hamlin's. In fact, the next car on the racetrack that is faster than Denny is his teammate, 9th place Tony Stewart.
You heard the 11. You heard that's a rookie. Bye. I mean, he just nailed it. He doesn't give it. You know, he doesn't play around.
Here's his teammate, the defending Nextel Cup champ, Tony Stewart, still a little bit sore from that cracked scapula or shoulder blade. but the 2 weeks of rest, mostly rest, have helped him quite a bit. He's been in the car all weekend. No relief driver. And Jeff Burton, who made a stop, coming back up now. He's passed his teammate Kevin Harvick and put the singular Chevy back in the top 10.
In those two cars, Jeff Burton in the 31, Tony Stewart in the 20, they pitted on the last caution roughly about lap 71, so they can go another 20 laps on their tires and fuel. And Ryan Newman in the 12, one of those cars, is going to have to be on pit road pretty soon here. He continues to not only lose position, but he's losing a lot of ground on the racetrack.
Fellas, is there a big difference in fuel mileage between a driver who feathers the throttle like a Jeff Burton and a fellow who's either on or off the gas like an on-off button like Denny Hamlin?
Listen, easy is the best thing to eat. Just like we always say, got an egg under your foot. Nice and easy. Don't bust it wide open. Back off early helps a lot too here. These guys are, I don't know what everybody else is doing, but these guys are having a lot of racing going on right here.
22nd place on back. Riding with Nemechek. Riding with Clint Boyer.
You're clear right there.
Let's ride with Tony Raines. He's right between them. There's Raines on the left. And David Stremme comes up in the middle.
Easy, boys. Easy.
Side by a fender. Clear, clear.
You can see the wheel. See that right front wheel, how dirty it is? That's brake dust, and that's a lot of brakes.
And that's a good sign to the crew chief, just how much brakes his drivers use and how much dust comes out of those wheels when they make a pit stop.
Yeah, you always have the tire changer say, "What? How did that right front look?" You know, and it's about how much dirt he's got on his face. You can usually tell.
Now this group has brought more cars to them, like Jeff Green in the 66, Jeremy Mayfield in the 19, Dale Jarrett, Dave Blaney, and Robbie Gordon.
But you know, one of the things I think, just like a brake package, our sport is always evolving, changing. When they did away with the gear where you couldn't shift here anymore and had to pull a certain gear, it put a new premium on having good brakes.
You know, as we're looking at Dale Jarrett in the 88 UPS car, right now he's in the 30th position, about a half a lap down to our leader, Brian Vickers. He opted not to practice his car yesterday. He played dad yesterday. After qualifying on Friday, he flew back home to Hickory, North Carolina. His oldest daughter, Natalie, graduated from Hickory High School yesterday. He wanted to be there for the graduation. His teammate, Elliott Sadler, got in the car, ran about 5 or 6 laps just to make sure everything was okay. Good for Dale Jarrett.
You bet.
Reed Sorensen in the 41 car, he had been running up there in the top 10 or 11. He's on pit road right now.
See the smoke off the brakes. Ooh. Just a lot of heat. See all that dust coming out there when the tire changer's hitting those lug nuts? It's all brake
Ready,
dust.
go, 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 go.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. coming to pit road.
I love this pit road. You can come off turn 3 wide open and bring her to the pit lane.
6th place car coming in the pits as you keep an eye on the leader coming around. Dick?
And it won't take much more time before car number 2, who is in 2nd position, Busch is in the pits. Junior's car just a little bit tight. They're going to adjust for that. That is the struggle that they have had all day. He could have pitted under caution, but chose to stay out for track position. Now under green, the field roars by as Junior takes forward with fuel.
But now our leader's Brian Vickers. He's just now entering turn 3. This is what Darrell and I have been pointing out. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who was running about 6 seconds behind Vickers, you see he's able to go off a pit road. He stays on the lead lap right now. In fact, here comes our leader, Brian Vickers, in the 25 car. He's on pit road. This is a scheduled stop.
Whoa, whoa.
Kyle Busch will never get slowed down there.
No, good grief.
Kyle Busch locked him up and slid into pit road. First to Steve.
And Mike, Brian Vickers saying his race car is just starting to show characteristics of being tight. So air pressure adjustments on the 25, down 1 pound in the left rear, up a half a pound in the right rear. And Lance McGrew reminding him, watch your pit road speed. Matt.
Not only did the 5 of Busch slide on entry onto pit road, he also did into his pit box. They've already completed the chassis adjustment. Now, in an earlier stop, they had an issue with the jack handle that came loose. They lost 12 spots. He fought that back. The car was extremely tight. He needed it to be freed up. The 16 of Biffle service is already complete. They have really rebounded from their earlier brake issues.
Hey, Matt, he might get a chance to practice his pit road entry.
And now Kurt Busch, who assumed the lead with Vickers' stop, comes in.
I don't know what he was doing here, but he is flying getting down here. He just misjudged the entry.
Too fast exiting. In Busch's case, perhaps entering, but Brian Vickers also too fast on pit road. Will be back in as Kurt Busch gets 4 tires and fuel.
Now that's another kind of downside to a green flag stop.
And look who's leading. Last night's winner in Nashville, Carl Edwards.
Kevin Harvick in the 29 car. You see him there on the right-hand side of your screen. He's in for a pit stop, 4 tires.
Dick.
Kurt Busch was told on 4 separate occasions what speed he had to be running going down pit road. They wanted to make so sure that Kurt Busch wasn't speeding. 47, 47, 47. That's the tachometer reading.
Well, Dick, it was entering. He just come off turn 3 so fast he couldn't get slowed down to make the commitment come.
So here's Kyle Busch in the CarQuest Chevy serving the penalty.
99 on pit road, you know.
So Carl Edwards will give up the lead to Casey Kane. Matt?
Last year's winner doesn't have to worry about any other cars in his area at this juncture. Harvick had just pitted and made a chassis adjustment. He was tight. Now the 99 was tight on exit of turn 3. It had started to come around, but they felt like it came around too late. They needed the front end of the run. Oh, they dropped the jack. They had dropped the jack on the 99. They're going to have to try to lift it up to get the jack underneath it. Now they're trying to get the flat tire jack to try to get the left side up. Huge mistake during this stop for Carl Edwards, who was running in the top 3. They still do not have the car up on the left side. 30 seconds into this pit stop, Carl Edwards has shut the engine off. Huge blow for the driver who won this event 1 year ago, still struggling. Now they have the flat tire jack inside the left front wheel well, trying to get it up on a cross member to get some height to get the jack under. Boy, Mike Joy, what a huge mistake for the 99 team.
Yes, let's go to Steve and Casey Kane's pin.
Get the jack ready, get the jack
Casey
ready.
Kane is in. He stayed out to lead a lap to get 5 bonus points, a 3-time winner this season. Kane saying, oh, they dropped the jack. Problems on the left front of Casey Kane.
Tony Stewart has assumed the lead. And look at Carl Edwards. He is a minute 10 and counting.
I've never seen anything like that.
Matt?
Mike, they just now got the jack under. Left side tires going on. Do you have the clock still running?
Yep,
It's
83.
83 points in change. It's like sand through the hourglass on this stop.
So in about a 10-lap window, green flag stops, we saw the pit road speeding mistakes by Kyle Busch and Brian Vickers. Huge mistake for the 99 car, Carl Edwards, and then a mistake on the 9 car as well. Great right side tire change. It all started here on the left side. You saw the jack fall right there, and from there it was downhill.
I've never seen, if I had 7 men and they couldn't, I've never seen guys not be able to get the car up high enough to get the jack
Now
under.
watch the jack. It looks like he's not all the way in under the jack stop.
Oh, he's
and there
not.
he goes.
He just had it hung under there.
In most teams, they have a little piece of angle or a little tubing hanging down there that they catch the jack on. Here's Casey Kane, who stayed out the lead a lap. Same thing. Good right side stop, but problems on the left side.
Oh,
now, Casey Kane drove it off the jack there.
Yeah, that wasn't the jack man's
Somebody was hollering go.
But, Darrell, you don't go when you're still jacked up, no matter if they
that
go.
made no sense. That's bizarre.
Steve?
Mike, what's bizarre about it, Casey Kane was very angry. He said that there's a problem with the clutch. That's what he's angry about. It might have been his fault.
Now, just to update you on the teams that have had problems, Casey Kane in the 9, Brian Vickers in the 25, Kyle Busch in the 5, they have all stayed on the lead lap. Kyle Busch right now is about 3 seconds in front of our leader, Tony Stewart, in the 20 car. But right now, Carl Edwards in the 99, 2 laps down from leading.
Halfway this time by in the Pocono zone. Tony Stewart, your leader over Jeff Burton by 2 seconds.
It's the return of the smoke factor. Steve.
Matt Kenseth on pit road. Dick, they've already made a track bar adjustment. They want to add a spring rubber to the left rear. They're doing that right now. Left side tires on, 4 for Matt Kenseth.
4 and 4 for Stewart and for Burton. Matt?
NASCAR officials are now informing Chad Knaus that the 48 was speeding. They will have to make a pass-through penalty is what they're informing Chad Knaus of at this moment. The car was edgy in the tunnel turn and tight in 3. They made a wedge adjustment and air pressure.
Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin have made stops. So is Tony Raines.
The problem is, Mike, is that the line where they start timing is way back further than I think I remember it being toward turn 3. There's a huge section right there that they're coming in and they're missing it.
Now Denny Hamlin picked up the lead. That's quite a recovery, and now he makes his stop in the FedEx Chevy.
And Matt, these are all guys these are all scheduled stops. They coming in a little late because of the stop they made earlier.
Absolutely, Larry Mack. Easy entry on the 11. This team really rebounding from their earlier issues when they had the left rear tire go flat. Nice stop so far. Now, he was tight earlier in the race. They're going to try to fix his free condition. That's what he has in the last few laps by an air pressure adjustment, and he is away.
Mayfield, Blaney, and Quapple making pit stops.
Now, here's something I think's happening, Mike and Larry. This commitment back here, the yellow line that starts right here where your speed is starting is from there to there. I don't remember that being that big of a section in the past. Plus, it's a lot closer to turn 3 than it's been in the past, seems to me.
But the reason they've done that is to keep these guys from having an advantage getting to their pit box. Now they have to start slowing down way back there.
Yeah, same thing on out. They moved that line back out a little further too, so to take away any advantage.
Martin Truex picked up the lead, and now the Tracker Boats Bass Pro Shop Chevy makes its stop. Robbie Gordon on pit lane as well.
So now we have almost cycled through all of the green flag stops, even though they were on different sequences right here. Kurt Busch in the 2 car has assumed the lead with Greg Biffle in the 16 in second right now. Dale Jarrett in the 88 is third, still needs to make a pit stop. And I have wore my pin out during those green flag stops.
But you can visibly see those guys coming off turn 3, Larry, and they're just going way too fast. They can't get slowed down. I mean, I said you can come off there running wide open, but that commitment line is a lot further back than I'm familiar with.
Now, I think what Chad Knaus is arguing, it was we made note earlier, he's pitting in the 4th pit box, and Chad Knaus, I think, is arguing that he can't even get up to speed in that distance.
Yeah, see, the commit out line is a lot shorter than normal. I think what NASCAR has done is taken away that advantage of coming off turn 3 and getting on pit road so quickly. I don't think that 48 was speeding on out. I think he was speeding on in.
We have double checked with NASCAR, and they're reporting the violation was exiting his pit. So now, with all these teams having made stops, here is the race for 6th place with Tony Stewart and Jeff Burton having the advantage on Ryan Newman.
Now, the good news for Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car, even with the penalty, he is still on the lead lap. In fact, he's about 10 to 11 seconds out in front of our leader, Kurt Busch. So he's in good shape, but he obviously needs a caution to catch back up.
So we've just crossed the halfway mark in this 200-lap, 500-mile race at Pocono, Pennsylvania. Kurt Busch out front. Chris Myers can take us through some of the highlights.
Yeah, Mike, first half of the race, rookie dreams and veteran hopes. Denny Hamlin on the pole, the 25-year-old rookie leading 49 of the first 50 laps. Before the tire left rear went down, fell to 40th, has worked his way back up inside the top 10. Jeff Burton took the lead from Kurt Busch, the 38-year-old veteran, 161 races since his last Cup win. But tires still part of the story. Kyle Petty, you know you're having a bad day when your tire is faster than your car. Petty finished for the day. Pit stops creating problems as well. Carl Edwards leading at the time. Came in, pitted, car jack falls off while they're changing the left side tire. A minute 13 seconds later, they pull out of the pits and laps are lost. So far, Denny Hamlin has still led the most laps in this race. Kurt Busch, your leader, but back to the pit problems and the tire change. Jeff Hammond at the cutaway car.
Chris, what happened to Carl Edwards when he came down? His pit crew went.
But the good thing, Steve, like we pointed out earlier, you see our leader, Kurt Busch, in the 2 just now entering turn 3. Casey's going to be in good shape. He will stay on the lead lap with this 9 car.
It almost looked like a right rear was soft, but he's saying front, so we'll see.
Steve?
Yeah, DW, Mike, Larry, it is the right rear. Just saw one of the tire changers pointing to the tire and then to Ray Evernham. It is, in fact, the right rear tire.
Here's your leader, Kurt Busch. Completing 115 laps, 85 to go. Last July's winner here. Dick?
Well, I talked to Roy McCauley, Kurt Busch's crew chief, this morning, Mike. I was in his hauler for quite a while and asked him what the strategy was today and his take on the year. And what he basically said is that they have been fast at virtually every race at certain points in the race. So the goal today was to stay up with the car, keep the car all day in a position where it's among the very fastest. Now, so far on the various pit stops, they've gone back and forth with the same adjustments. Track bar air pressure, up and down on both of those. So they're very close with the number 2 car, which currently leads, and they're getting done what they set out to do this day at Pocono.
Thanks, Dick, but I think the car to reckon with is going to be that black number 11, because as he was at the top of the day, Denny Hamlin right now is the fastest car on the racetrack.
Can you imagine if it wasn't for the handicap system where he's handicapped himself, how far out front he would be? Because he has walked through the field after all those repairs.
And just remember, 60 laps ago, he was leading the race, had a flat tire, spun out, brought a caution, a ton of repairs. But I want to update you on someone else that's even running a little better than this car. Is Greg Biffle in the 16 car. Started up in the top 10, all types of brake problems. And now Greg Biffle in the 16 car is running second, just a little over a second behind Kurt Busch in the 2 car.
Biffle's 1.2 off the lead, but he has a 4-second cushion back to Dale Earnhardt Jr. And there you see how Biffle's day has gone so far. Pat?
Mike, the last time that the Biff talked about his brakes, he said he didn't have a brake vibration. It's just that if he didn't pump them, the pedal would go all the way to the floor, so he has to keep pumping the brake pedal. The car a little on the free side, but what a run this team has made. If you look in the last 4 races, they've gone from 23rd to 12th in the championship standings. This is a team that almost won the championship last year. They've had a rocky road to begin this season, but they have really turned the corner.
I think the thing Biffle needs to worry about is that he doesn't wear out his brakes. Pumping them's okay, just don't wear them out.
Kurt Busch leading Greg Biffle by 1 second with 83 laps to go in Pocono. A new leader in Pocono with 80 laps to go. The 15th lead change of the day, and the 10th different driver to lead this race is Greg Biffle.
Watch how he swings way down. Watch this, Mike. He goes way off to the left of the straightaway here to break the draft. He doesn't want any side draft off the 2 car. So he can get down there, get clean air, and then pull up in front.
Meanwhile, a little further back, Denny Hamlin.
What a drive.
Moves up on Jeff Burton. Now those 2 ran 1-2 early in this race. Hamlin has led 51 laps, and that's the most in any race in his young Nextel Cup career. So here's Hamlin moving forward. He has made 11 pit stops today.
And 11 times they made his car better. And it wasn't too bad when he started, so that's tells you something about that hot rod.
He's trying to break that draft.
Yeah, I mean,
pond straight away.
I can't. The draft here is very strong.
He and Tony Stewart, his teammate at Joe Gibbs Racing, are the 2 fastest cars on the track right now with 78 laps to go. Been a busy day for the FedEx team.
Yeah, Mike Ford there in the middle. Good job. I can't tell you, when I look at Mike and I think how that 11 car is running, I think about how Bill Elliott dominated this race here about 3 years ago with Mike Ford sitting on the pit box. Very similar.
To make a green flag pit stop in the GMAC Chevy. Steve's there.
Recovering from that green flag stop on lap 94 when he had a pass-through penalty for being too fast. Now they're going to make a quarter round up track bar adjustment. Brian saying he's a little bit tight when he gets in traffic. 4 tires on the 25 and that track bar adjustment. Matt.
Busted for speeding on his last entry onto pit road. Kyle Busch smokes the tires into his pit box. Now the last run he was extremely tight down in turn 1, and it was really tight on exit off turn 3. Air pressure adjustment for this stop, and he's away.
Now these guys were on pit road last at lap 94. We see Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car. This makes them pit with about 71 or 72 laps to go. If they can run 36 laps on a tank of fuel, Dick Berggren, they can do it on one more stop.
Well, the nice thing is they've got a car that is really to Junior's liking. Finally, he said it is just now starting to turn better. It's just now getting to where I can really drive it. This was an absolutely scheduled pit stop. They thought about going all the way to lap 130, decided against it. Junior back out onto the racetrack.
One reason you want to try to build a little bit of insurance, just remember, we've had a lot of Pocono races that ended under caution. It won't end under caution now. We get one attempt at a green-white checkered, so you'd like a little bit of insurance on making it on one more stop.
And Junior's car, it's been a good, solid race car all day long. He's been right there around 4th, 5th, and 6th all day long.
You're right, Larry. Both races last year went into overtime, and both ended up ending under the yellow.
In 2 laps here, remember, that's 5 miles. That's another gallon of fuel.
And you can't coast all the way around this racetrack.
We expect Greg Biffle to make his stop next time by. That would hand the lead back to this man, Kurt Busch.
We need to make note that Reed Sorensen, a rookie in the 41 car, who had recovered nicely from some problems early, went to the garage area, and we're getting a report, rotor brake problem on the 41 car.
And pardon me if I'm repeating myself, but it bears repeating. Kyle Petty was released from the infield care center after that hard crash in turn number 2, and it was determined that the lug nuts were loose on the left front wheel. That's what caused it to vibrate and come off the car.
See Greg Biffle, the 16 car, giving up the lead. These are scheduled green flag stops, 4 tires adjustments, full of fuel.
Jeff Green in as well in what may well be the longest pit road in NASCAR.
At 55 miles per hour, you would hope, Matt Yoakum.
And Doug Richard asked Biffle if he needed a wedge for the race car. He says, no. What about the driver? Did he need any fluids? He said, no, I'm fine. Now, the car was free. Biffle wanted to leave it that way. His spotter, Joel Edmonds, told him about 7 laps ago, be cautious down in turn 1, a little slow in the left rear, because fans are shooting off fireworks. Don't let it start yet. The leader is now back out on the racetrack.
Kevin Harvick and Jeff Green have made pit stops.
And this is almost the order that they came in under the last round of green flags pit stops. There you see Kurt Busch in the 2 car, our leader. He's going to hit pit road for his green flag stop.
And that should give the lead back to Denny Hamlin. There's Hamlin on your left, taking over first place, Dick Berggren.
Well, spotter Jeremy Brickhouse this time told Kurt Busch, nice and easy as he approached pit road. Busch has had a strong car all day, a car that's absolutely capable of winning. We remind you that he won here last July as well, but with a different team.
His teammate Ryan Newman is in, so is Bobby Labonte and Jeff Gordon. Tires and fuel, little adjustment on the left rear of Newman's car.
The speeding tickets remind me of when they put radar in the neighborhood. A couple of people get busted, and after that, don't anybody get busted anymore.
happened in our neighborhood, and the first guys to get stopped were the ones that were complaining about people speeding.
That's right. That's probably the way it was today.
Right.
See behind this group, Jeff Gordon in the 24 car in for what possibly would be his next to his last pit stop of the day.
And so we cycle back around to where Hamlin and Burton, the two cars that were strongest at the top of the day, are back out in front.
And Denny Hamlin, the 11, was one of the last cars to make a green flag stop. He pitted on lap 103. Right now, he's only been 30 laps, so he could probably go another 4 or 5 laps.
More importantly, Larry, his lap times have not suffered from this long run.
Right, that's what I was noticing, Mike. He's still real fast. Matter of fact, faster than most of the cars out there.
Jamie McMurray, the 26 car, Scott Riggs, the 10 car on pit road.
The first quarter of this race, nobody but Denny Hamlin led a lap under green.
Well, you got a great car at Pocono when you can have the problems he had, spin out on the back straightaway, cut out a tire, come in, work on it 11 times, and now you're leading the race again. That's an awesome race car. And I'm not taking anything away from the driver or the crew either. They all did a great job.
So it's Hamlin, Burton, and Stewart, Matt Kenseth, Mark Martin, and J.J. Yaley. The top 6 right now. Martin Truex and Elliott Sadler and Clint Boyer. Greg Biffle rounds out the top 10. 66 laps and one more pit stop at least in the offing here. There's your second place car, Burton, trying to end a long winless drought. But you could just hear in Victory Lane last Saturday at Dover the renewed confidence Jeff Burton had in this whole Richard Childress organization, and they have really come back into contention.
And it was not one big area.
No.
I think it was a lot of little things in a lot of small areas. And we see Tony Stewart, the 20 car, Dale Jarrett in the 88 car, all on pit road.
Boy, he was out of control getting in his pit box.
Dick?
Now Stewart also stalled the car trying to get into the pit box. This is a brand new automobile, and he is in a brand new seat as well. Reminder, Stewart is driving this car with a broken shoulder blade, couldn't run the entire race. Burton is going to be pitting right now.
J.J. Yaley is in, so is Clint Boyer and David Stremme. Yaley had a nice comeback, back up to 6th place after he was involved in the lap 1 skirmish and cut down a tire later as a result.
Dale Jarrett, the 88 car, all types of problems on his pit stop.
Garage.
And actually, yeah, he's making the left-hand turn to the garage.
Bobby Labonte's having a lot of fun with Ryan Newman there. They've been kind of bump drafting down these long straightaways.
Well, Darrell, the one thing they're fighting for right now is trying to stay in front of our leader, Denny Hamlin, because they're at the tail end of the lead lap right now.
Dick Berger in Burton's pit.
And the reason Jeff Burton pitted exactly what he did was they wanted to pit ahead of Denny Hamlin. They are aware of how fast that car is, the adjustments they made on this pit stop to try to make Burton's car turn a little bit better.
Jimmy Johnson is in, Jeremy Mayfield and Tony Raines as we cycle through green flag stops. There's Mayfield's stop for 4 tires and fuel, and Raines.
There's the 11.
And the leader comes in. Denny Hamlin gives up the lead as Matt's with the point leader.
Mike, they've already completed the chassis adjustment for Jimmy Johnson. His team, they've done it so many times, rebounded back from problems. They've got 63 laps to try to get over their issues. The 48 is away, while the 11, Denny Hamlin, who's led most of this race, makes his way to his pit stall. Barry Cook runs around the back, hits the lugs. Big Scott Wood grabs the second gas can. Now, Denny says the car's a little free on exit of turn 3 and a little free on entry into turn 1, but he likes it. No changes. The lugs are on. The 11's gone.
Nice stop.
Dave Blaney and Elliott Sadler on pit road. Matt Kenseth on the left of your screen picks up the lead over Mark Martin and Martin Truex. The Mega M&M's Ford getting some new skins and fuel. Today's Allstate Good Hands driver is Denny Hamlin. Leading the race. Hamlin cuts down a tire, which explodes up through the left rear fender, sending the car into a spin, and somehow he keeps it off the wall as it bounces across the grass and the escape road. Allstate donates a $1,000 scholarship to the Urban Youth Racing School in Denny's name. Allstate, official insurance sponsor of NASCAR.
And Mike, just watching that 11 car jump the curb, go through the grass, back out in the track, it's a wonder it didn't tear something out from the front of it. But that car obviously is driving just as good as it was at the get-go.
A couple of our final lead lap cars, Mark Martin in the 6, Martin Truex Jr. in the 1, making their green flag stops. It looks like right now Matt Kenseth in the 17 car will be one of the final cars to make a pit stop. Greg Biffle, his teammate in the 16, if it cycles all the way through, he will have the lead by about 2.5 seconds.
You see Chad Chaffin stopping on the right side of your screen.
Pretty good example of what fresh tires versus old tires right there, as Jimmy Johnson just blew by him.
And that helps explain why Jeff Burton wanted to stop before Denny Hamlin came in, to have the advantage of those new tires for several laps before the leader got his. Pit board's out for Joe Nemechek this time.
Well, guys, we're getting into that window where we're going to see guys start to have a little, if there's engine issues, we're going to start to see them in the next little bit here.
Are we perhaps out of gas? I don't hear an engine from that onboard camera.
It's coasting. Nemechek.
I would say there's a good chance that he possibly is out of fuel. Joe Nemechek in the 01 car. Now our leader Matt Kenseth in the 17 car, he hits pit road. Joe Nemechek does make it to pit road, Steve.
Larry Mack, you've talked about keeping these cars adjustable. On lap 50, the 17 team added a spring rubber to the right rear spring. On this stop, they took it back out. They're also going to drop left side air pressure. Matt saying he's just a little bit loose off the tunnel turn.
And again, these guys may only get one more opportunity to make their cars right. Need to add Dale Jarrett to the list of cars that's in the garage area with brake problems.
And we saw David Stremme earlier. This is Kevin LePage, who is coasting, and I don't think he's going to make it.
I don't think he was out of gas. I heard him go by with a sour engine. I think that may be his issue, but he's not going to make it. He's not even going to make it to the entrance of pit road.
The caution's out. Let me tell you who this helps. Casey Kane in that 9 car, because he was actually going to have to make 2 more pit stops. He's the guy that really benefits, because now he'll be on equal ground with these guys.
And what about Carl Edwards?
No help, Daryl. Carl's still a lap down, but he's the 5th car 1 lap down. Jamie McMurray will probably be the free pass car. So the caution is out for debris and the 49 of LePage stopping on the racetrack. 59 laps to go in Pocono. The way NASCAR handles this, Larry, is when they note the infraction, the team has the chance to correct it before they come out and have to come back in again.
NASCAR does not want to burn anyone. They work hard to keep everybody clean and green.
Chris, it has been a day of pit road problems in Pocono.
Yeah, supposed to be a vacation resort getaway, but hard work in the pits. Brian Vickers, who was leading at the time, too fast on pit road. Kyle Busch, who was running in the top 5, locks him up, nailed for speeding as well. Carl Edwards, who was leading at the time with some jack problems, cost him more than 1:20, and he fell from the top spot. Currently a lap down. And Jeff, Casey Kane, some problems.
Yeah, and this right here was not the jack man's problem. The clutch messed up, and he jumped the car off the jack.
He was running 4th at the time. Jimmy Johnson running 5th, speeding down pit road. Chad Knaus' crew chief arguing. Now, he's already on probation, but 3 of the 4 Hendrick cars got nailed for speeding.
You can tell he's not happy about it, but hey, every now and then you got to state your case.
Greg Biffle, your leader, 57 laps to go. Who will come out on top? We'll be back in a moment.
Greg Biffle's Ford trying to hold off Kurt Busch's Dodge, and the Chevys of Earnhardt, Hamlin, the pole sitter, Burton, Stewart, and Kyle Busch. Here we go. Why is it always Harvick that has his nose peeked out way down to the bottom on these restarts trying to pick up a few spots?
Because he will go places no one else dares to go.
I think there's a TV show that started out with that line. Whoa. Vickers on the outside. Now Hamlin's in the box. Here comes Burton on the bottom. Harvick still digging.
Yikes, it could be a real come together right there.
Got the spot though.
Kevin Harvick definitely taking advantage of those 4 fresh tires early after this restart.
Well, you get down on the inside going in the tunnel turn, you have the right of way. Whoa, 11 was a little loose coming turn 3 that time. But he's not slowing down for anybody. He's not waiting on anybody. That car is so fast.
Dave Blaney there, first car 1 lap down.
Actually, Carl Edwards in the 99 car just went by Dave Blaney. That's what he's been looking for a long time. Is to be the first car a lap down.
And right now is a great time to be in that position, because when they're bunched up like this, how about it burns?
Bad luck for Martin Truex Jr., DW. He was running in the 14th position, loved his race car. Flat tire just brought him to pit road.
The good news is, Steve, he will stay on the lead lap. A lot like Carl Edwards, he'd love to see a caution here quickly, though.
Well, Harvick learned from one of the masters, Ron Hornaday, out there on the West Coast, how to restart, because Harvick picked up 5 positions on that first lap under green.
Well, a lot of guys are real tentative on a restart. I got to be careful. They're all bunched up. Don't want to get anybody. Don't want anybody to get into me. That's a great opportunity to pounce if you get the opportunity.
And Harvick did. He's up to 15th. Casey Kane underneath Elliott Sadler, as Harvick goes to work on J.J. Yaley. Time for our second singular virtual crew chief question. Which turn is most important to winning at Pocono?
I know the answer. I know the answer.
No votes for turn 4, please. And you know how to enter. Text the word crew to 191 from your singular phone, or go to foxsports.com/singular.
Right now, Jeff Burton, we were riding with him in that 31 car. He's in 4th, about 1 3/4 seconds behind our leader, Greg Biffle.
Jimmy Johnson trying to pad his point lead. Takes it 3 wide. And there's Harvick right with him. Ooh, Johnson's loose.
Scooting right up there. And the rookie's got his bumper stuck right up under him. Here comes Gordon. He wants to get in the mix.
And when you look at those 3 cars there, Harvick, Gordon, and Clint Boyer, all those cars are cars that made pit stops on that last caution.
And Jamie McMurray drives right in there and under Boyer.
Still on the lead lap.
Yep, this is 15th on back.
I tell you what, that car there on the left of your screen, number 43, he just drove around the outside of Dale Jr. off turn 3 to take the 7th position.
Bobby Labonte started back in the 23rd, still up on the lead lap. His crew chief Todd Parrott has 2 or 3 wins here.
Boy, there's something wrong. I think there's something wrong with that 8 car, guys.
There is. Darrell, he got up coming up off the corner. The car got loose. He had to lift, get way out of the throttle.
Inside.
And it's not the first time today.
Clear,
Several cars
clear.
streamed right by him.
Still running okay, so it's just
Turn me sideways down there.
turned him sideways.
Just took him that long to recover from it.
There you go. You're clear. He busted his butt up underneath you. You're clear.
Greg Biffle leading in Pocono with 50 laps to go. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
The Pocono 500 on Fox is sponsored by Subway Restaurants. Subway, drive hard, eat fresh. By Napa Auto Parts. Napa, get the good stuff. By Radio Shack. And by Red Lobster. We do it all for the seafood lover in you.
Welcome back to Pocono, our Quaker State race summary. 11 different leaders, 19 lead changes, 25 cars on the lead lap, and 6 caution flags for a total of 24 laps of the 154 thus far. 46 laps to go. There will be one more pit stop. And Greg Biffle has now led 12 races this season. That is the most of any driver in Nextel Cup.
Yeah, with this leading laps here, that's 80 bonus points this year for leading the lap. And there's been a couple, 3 races he's led the most laps. And trust me, when it's all tallied up, those points will be make a huge difference.
Biffle trying to bust into the top 10. It's been a long climb, but he's gained at least 1 point position in each of the last 4 races. In 4 races, he's come from 23rd to 12th in the Nextel Cup standings.
Our pole sitter, Denny Hamlin, an 11 car, all over the back of Kurt Busch. The 2, in fact, that's the front row right there. Kurt Busch started on the outside of the front row. These guys battling for the 2nd position, right about a second behind our leader, Greg Biffle.
I just believe that 11 car is going to be the man. He is he's just so fast. You just can't overcome what they've overcome and not take her to victory circle.
Matt's in his pit.
Mike, he said a little while ago that this is the best car he ever had. And Mike Ford said, what can we do to make this car better? He said the car is just spot on. He was held up by the 99 of Edwards, who's trying to stay in position for the lucky dog. But now that he has gotten past him, he has set sail just past the 2 of Busch, now trying to reel in the 16 of Biffle.
I love that. It's the best car I've ever had at Pocono. How many times have you been to Pocono?
This would be the first time. Dale Earnhardt Jr. lost 5 spots in the length of the short chute here. He was passed by 4 lead lap cars and a lap car when we talked about his car getting way up the racetrack coming out of the tunnel turn. Here's another look at it from his onboard. And watch them scan past him.
Inside. Clear low, clear low. Inside. Hold over, Jude. Still inside. Still inside. Clear, clear.
Get over some, turn me sideways down there. And 4.
Now Dale Jr. thought he got turned, but our look at the video did not show any contact with the 8 car. Dick?
Well, a little while ago, Junior had keyed the radio and told the crew that the car was really running well. Most recently, he said the car won't do anything he wants it to do. It simply won't turn. It's plowing everywhere, pushing in the middle, and he just cannot keep the car down. So the adjustments that they made on the last pit stop haven't worked.
Well, let's update you on Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 8 car and the 5 car of Kyle Busch. Remember when we got in those last green flag stops, those 2 cars were some of the first cars to hit pit road back on lap 128, lap 129. When the caution came out on lap 141, they elected to stay out, unlike Brian Vickers in the 25 car on the right-hand side of your screen. So in about 10 to 12 laps, Kyle Busch, Dale Earnhardt Jr., they'll start the cycle of green flag stops of the cars that did not pit on that last caution.
One of the things I'm noticing too, Larry, is the wind's picked up again quite a bit, and the temperature, I believe, it's gotten real cloudy, pretty overcast right now. The wind looks like it's picked up some, and that could be affecting the car quite a bit right at this point in the race.
Michigan next week, but first 42 laps and 1 more pit stop to go, and we've had a lot of problems on pit stops today.
Good recovery for Scott Riggs in this car right here in the 10 car. Lap 1, he was in all types of problems in that wreck we had over there with Casey Mears and that group. And here he's recovered. He's racing his teammate right now. Casey Kane behind him. This is a battle for 10th for 2 of the Evernham cars. Good recovery for Rodney Childers, the crew chief in this group.
Only 5 cars out of this race. Casey Mears, Sterling Marlin, Mike Garvey, Kyle Petty, and Terry Labonte. Many laps down, Robbie Gordon, Reed Sorensen, and Dale Jarrett.
champ, and leading here with 38 laps to go, Denny Hamlin, the rookie, who led the first 49 of the first 50 laps.
And right now, you're seeing a lot of pressure right now being put on that 16 car by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. This young man, I don't think he wants to be denied. He wants this win today.
21st Cup race for the rookie Hamlin, trying to capture the first victory of his career. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
37 laps to go, one more pit stop for everybody. Let's look at points as of now, and the gainer right here is Tony Stewart, who would move up one based on where they're running. And as of right this minute, in fact, Denny Hamlin wants the lead. And Biffle just rolls over for him. What's that about?
He knows he's faster. Maybe he's going to save a little fuel. Might be able to fall back behind him and just sniff along behind him. Or maybe he wants to see, okay, you're faster. What do I got to do to beat you?
Now, Mark Martin in the 6 car, he hits pit road. Now, this is with 37 laps to go. That's right there on that top of that window of being able to make it to the end. But I think possibly trying to get in, get advantage of those fresh tires early. But there's no cushion there with 37 to go.
Now, Dale Jarrett has also made a stop, and Bobby Labonte had a flat tire and had to stop. But we believe that Labonte's stop will not allow him to go the distance without stopping again.
Now, he pitted with 39 to go because he had a flat tire right there, and I think 39 laps may be stretching it here at this 2.5-mile racetrack.
So Hamlin back out front where he's been for 58 laps today. The driver who has led the most laps at Pocono in 56 races has gone to victory lane 29 times. That's a pretty strong average, including 4 of the last 5, the exception being Brian Vickers, who led 121 laps here last June and finished second.
I think we're getting the answer. Here comes the 16 to pit road right now.
Biffle has
Nice job. Coming at you guys.
4 straight top 10s. In last 4 races, he's climbed from 23rd to 11th in the Nextel Cup standings.
See, I think that's the other reason why he let 11 go. He didn't want to race with him. He's coming to the pit lane. Doesn't want him on his back bumper.
Good point. Matt?
And the 11's going to pit probably another lap or 2 after the 16 of Biffle. Biffle pulls to a stop. They asked him if he wanted any adjustments. He said, no, we are good to go. Tear-offs off to help with the visibility. Solid stop going so far. 2.5 pumps on the jack. Gloves are on, and Biffle is gone.
Now, we know about when Denny Hamlin last pitted on lap 137. He can go another 4 or 5 laps, but this is like a road course. He needs to get to pit road in case a caution comes out, because if a caution comes out, it puts Greg Biffle in the catbird seat.
Here he is. Kyle Busch has been in. J.J. Yaley's been in. Here's our leader.
You can't afford to stay out there because right now Jeff Burton's in the 31 car. I think all these guys are seeing this. Here comes Brian Vickers, Ryan Newman, Casey Kane, Dale Earnhardt Jr. The worst thing that can happen, Dick, is a caution come out before you get to pit road.
Jeff Burton pitting right now. He has got so much rear grip in this automobile that the front end is pushing. So they're going to try to fix that. Matty.
Hamlin is in. The wedge wrench is in the back window. You can see the catch can man. Cranks on. He does get the wrench out. The 31 is out. The 11 will beat him off pit road.
Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick are in. Elliott Sadler, Jamie McMurray, Jeff Gordon. Just about all the lead lap cars.
That hands the lead to Kurt Busch in the 2 car, but I just got to believe Roy McCauley needs to get this car to pit road pretty quick, because a caution would pretty much end his chances of winning this race, and there he comes to pit road.
Busch is in, and so is Tony Stewart. Dick?
Yeah, and is Kurt Busch, and the adjustments that they make now may well carry them all the way to the end of this event. So they've got to be right. Stewart was pushing a bit in the middle of the corner. Busch has gone back and forth between Busch and Luce all day. The 2 car ahead of Tony Stewart, pitting about 3 car lengths behind him on the same pit road. So it'll be quite the race between these 2 teams, and Kurt Busch is out first among them.
And the things these teams cannot do here is make a mistake. You can't have lug nut problems. You can't have a speeding problem.
Jeff Burton too fast exiting. A great day.
Here he
gone
comes.
awry.
Yeah,
And
he's
here
on
he
a
comes back
drive-through.
for the penalty. A drive through at pit road speed. Now he'll likely stay on the lead lap, but it's going to be hard to get caught up from here in only 33 laps.
We never get speeding penalties anywhere except here. We're getting them entering and always exiting. Always.
Your leader, Matt Kenseth, comes to pit road in front of Steve.
And Mikey says his race car is just a little bit tight. 3 straight top 5 finishes for Kenseth, including the win last week in Dover. He said, just free me up. They've made 2 small air pressure adjustments to that number 17 for Matt Kenseth. Good stop for this team. Left side tires on. Kenseth down pit road.
Scott Riggs had picked up the lead. First time he has led today. As Larry pointed out, nice recovery from the lap 1 crash that took Casey Mears out of the race. And Riggs is done.
We've got about 3 or 4 cars on the lead lap. Clint Boyer, Tony Raines, Jeremy Mayfield, Travis Quapple that have not been to pit road. And right now, Clint Boyer in the DirecTV 07, he will be leading this race. But when it all shakes out, Denny Hamlin should have about a 2.5-second lead over Greg Biffle with 32 laps to go. We pretty much know all of these cars can make it to the end.
Chad Chaffin has spun trying to get to his pit box. How many times have we said don't beat yourself? And so many teams today have done just that.
Chad had a great qualifying run on Friday, got in the show. Coming down at 55 miles per hour, just locked it up.
Rear wheels lock up, got too much rear brake in that car, looked like. You would think we brag on this pit road, how big it is, how easy it is to get on and off, all the things that you'd want in a pit road. And we've had more fiascos today than we've had anywhere.
Shame was, Darrell, he had all 4 wheels inside the pit box. They might have been able to do the stop that way with the rest of pit road open, but he elected to back up and square it up before they finish the work. Chaffin is now 4 laps down.
Now let's update you where Jeff Burton is running now. He's in the 22nd position. He's still on the lead lap. He's 35 seconds behind our leader Clint Boyer, but he just drove by, even with the penalty, he just drove by Jeff Gordon in the 24 car for position. The car right in front of Jeff Burton, Carl Edwards in the 99. He's back on the lead lap, but he will have to make one more pit stop. What Carl Edwards wants right now, he wants that caution flag. Needs that caution flag.
Clint Boyer, your leader. Travis Quapple pits. 30 laps to go.
The entire ride here, a comeback story of sorts for Greg Biffle and rookie Denny Hamlin. Biffle into the pits with brake problems, lost 30 spots, but came back to take the lead on lap 121. As far back as 38th at one time. He's led a total of 36 laps. Pole sitter Denny Hamlin led 49 of the first 50 laps, but look at this save. Once a tire went out, he was as low as 40th, worked his way back up to the lead, has led 59 laps overall in and out of the pits. And after those recent stops, cycling towards the front, Hamlin had to pass Biffle to take the lead once again. And Biffle lets him go by. Biffle would later make a pit stop. Hamlin currently up to second behind another rookie, Clint Boyer, and Greg Biffle third. And this has been a Visa race break. No matter what it takes, life takes Visa. So with Boyer, Hamlin, and Biffle here, and 26 laps to go, the stage is set, Jeff.
Well, right now we're looking at Clint Boyer, who is the leader, but he's about to come to pit road pretty soon here. He is leading the race right now, but when he goes to pit road, I think we'll be seeing Denny Hamlin take this lead one more time. And then I don't think anybody at this point in time can catch it. Greg Biffle is about 3 seconds behind him right now with only 25 laps to go now. That's a long time as far as Pocono is concerned. The laps here are almost a minute long, but his car has been so dominant all day long. I think it's going to be hard for anybody to catch him unless they get a caution and get another opportunity maybe to work on their car.
All right, and Hamlin trying to win in this his first Cup race at Pocono. Richard Petty did it in '74, the first race here. And Carl Edwards, the only other one to do it, his first race here at Pocono last year. But we'll see if Hamlin can hold off Biffle.
Yeah, here's a really good battle right now between the 25 car of Brian Vickers and Matt Kenseth and the 17 car, and they're racing for 6th and 7th right now.
Bigger picture, Kenseth came in second in points and currently running 7th. Let's rejoin Darrell, Larry, and Mike.
Right now, the biggest loser in the standings would be Dale Jr., who would drop 2 spots to 6th, and Jeff Gordon, who would fall to 10th. Tony Stewart and Casey Kane would each move up a spot, as would Kyle Busch.
Well, Junior's car, I mean, we were just bragging on him being in the top 5 and 6 there for the most of the day, but this last time in, they did something that the car didn't like.
Well, he's got a 12th place car right now, Darrell. Now, once you get past 10th spot and Jeff Gordon, Biffle closing in, and Denny Hamlin. And only 10 cars are going to make the chase for the Nextel Cup. Coming into Pocono, we're halfway through the race to the chase. 13 down, 13 to go to Richmond to decide who has a chance to win the Nextel Cup.
And admittedly, on trackside Friday night, this fella right here, Jeff Gordon, said Michigan's going to be a real test for our race team.
Leader's going to pit.
Yeah, and this is, as Jeff Hammond pointed out, this is a scheduled stop. He was one of the cars that pitted on the last caution, so it's been roughly about 35 laps since Clint Boyer pitted in the DirecTV car, so this will be his final pit stop, but he should stay on the lead lap.
And when Jeff said that, Mike, I don't believe he thought he would run today like he has run. He was really worried about the, you know, the 1.5 miles and 2 miles of giving him a fit.
Real worried about next week at Michigan. That's been the Achilles heel for this team for a couple of years.
Right.
8th place, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman. And the fastest car on the track at the moment is Brian Vickers in 6th. Just out ahead of this group. Looks like Newman will prevail right here. So, which is the most difficult turn at Pocono? What did our singular virtual crew chief say? I would vote turn 3. That's the turn that leads to the finish line. You'd say turn 2, Larry?
Turn 3. I've always said that. I mean, I still think you got to be right like Denny Hamlin in 11. I think he does not have a weak turn here today.
And look, there's the proof of Darrell's right there. Turn 2.
I'm thinking most difficult turn. The winning, turn 3 for winning.
Remember, when you participate in singular virtual crew chief, you're entered to win.
I think the wall tells the degree of difficulty in turn 2.
Early in the race, I think about 2/3 of the field had stripes on the right side of their cars where they'd been rubbing up against that wall off turn 2 over there.
Denny Hamlin, 22 laps away. Here's Matt.
And Mike, when you look at what this young man and his family have gone through, his parents mortgaged their home at one point to continue on his racing career. Hamlin, 22 laps away from his first points victory. And you look at the history with the number 11. Now, sure, this will be the first win for the third team of Joe Gibbs, but the number 11, Parnelli Jones, scored his first win in Cup with that number. Ned Jarrett, Mario Andretti, 12 different drivers have won, including the legendary Darrell Waltrip. They would love to end this day in victory lane. And like he said earlier, this is the best car he has ever driven anywhere, and it shows consistently on the stopwatch.
I was pretty fond of that car number 11, me and Junior Johnson and that crowd, the Duke crew. We had some pretty good success with old number 11.
Guys, I'm going to tell you, the guy we definitely need to keep updating, Tony Stewart in that 20 car. Remember, driving hurt at Lowe's Motor Speedway a couple of weeks ago, sitting here in the top 5 right now with 20 laps to go. This is a great recovery for this race team and for Tony Stewart.
Yeah, this is good medicine, Larry. He's in 4th place right now, and he would move up 1 spot in the Nextel Cup standings to 4th. 20 laps to go in Pocono. Hamlin over Biffle by 3.6 seconds.
Gillen, he's the one that led the repairs on that 11 car and kept him on the lead lap.
Darrell likes to call Pocono a roval, a road course like oval. And look how Hamlin and Biffle have rallied.
And just think about Denny Hamlin at Mexico. Never been to a Mexico road race. And this has got road race characteristics.
Well, let's see. He's going to go to the Brickyard. He's never been there.
He'll be great.
He's got a lot of good chances this year.
He's going to be great.
Not to mention Sonoma.
Yeah.
Looks of that at all. Driver's side. Thank goodness for those safer barriers.
Darrell, we've talked about how you go into turn one at 200 miles an hour and dive down the racetrack. So it's a long way to go to get to that wall. Here's Gordon climbing out. That's a good sight.
That's a great, I tell you, I'm relieved. Man, oh man.
Jeff Gordon was trying to put together consecutive top 10 finishes for the first time since March.
Thank goodness for those things up there, guys, those safer barriers. That makes all the difference in the world.
You could see Jeff kneeling down, I think, looking inside the left front just to see what he could see as far as the brakes, because we definitely heard him say the brakes went out into a corner where you're well over right at 200 miles per hour.
Safe guess that without the Hans device and the safer barrier, he wouldn't be out there inspecting brake parts.
Oh, I can't tell you how the guys that I've talked to that have had crashes like that rave about that safer barrier. I mean, those styrofoam blocks right there, they absorb so much energy, and particularly when it's on driver's side.
But I think the biggest thing that I would stress to all the short track racers listening, look at the Hans device. You always see Jeff Hammond down at the Ford cutaway car. You see the head restraints. Fix your race car if you don't have all these things on your car.
Car looked like it just never turned.
Oh boy. That is a lick, guys. Look at that. Tore the sheet metal right off the thing.
Now, boys, here's where the crew chiefs
and I see
their
a
money.
couple of brake pads.
I think that's brake pads, yeah.
Here comes Greg Biffle in the 16 car. He is on pit road here with 9 laps to go. Matt Yoakum.
And he thinks he has a right side tire possibly going down, Larry.
He does, Matt.
He does,
the right
Matt.
rear.
Right rear.
The right rear is down. Now, if no other car comes with them, they were planning on going 4 tires. If other cars came, they were just going to go right sides only. Tough break for the Biff.
Well, a lot of them came. Jimmy Johnson's in, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Burton, Dale Earnhardt Jr., along with McMurray, Yaley, Kane. A lot of the lead lap cars came in, Matt.
4 tires is the call since all those cars came in, Mike Joy.
Oh, I think if you come to pit road, you're going to roll the dice here. Go on and get 4 tires. 2's not going to do you any good. And of our 23 cars on the lead lap, no one will get a free pass because we're within 10 laps. You had about 9 or 10 cars hit pit road. Biffle will win the battle off pit road to the cars that pitted.
Well, he's lucked out that all those cars pitted, or he'd have been in trouble.
Jeff Gordon's crash will drop him out of the top 10 in the Nextel Cup standings. You that picked up Jeff Gordon's crash in progress before he hit the wall. That car dove down to the inside and through the grass and the mud, and then came up and hit the wall. And the debris field in turn 1 is about from here to Stroudsburg.
Huge lick.
And so they're making a repair to the safer barrier due to the impact. Unfortunately, that is something that can be done pretty quickly. Those bands of foam blocks, carefully shaped to attenuate any impact, just drop right in where the old ones were, and you see the sweeper, and he's going to have a busy job down there in turn 1. We can show you Jeff's path as the car came along through the mud and then up to the wall. Now watch the dirt fly out from under this car as it hits.
Just can't believe the side of that car.
And now the car behind him, the DirecTV car of Clint Boyer. Watch what he sees.
That would be the same thing I'm sure his windshield ended up looking like.
Looks like he's been off-road racing. Jeff Gordon climbed from the car. He is okay after a very hard crash, and one that will take him out of the Nextel Cup top 10. He's taken the mandatory ride to the infield care center. He said to his crew before he unhooked the radio that the brakes let go.
Now let's update you on what we've got here. We're probably going to get this race restarted with about 6 laps to go. We have 23 cars on the lead lap. 9 cars stayed out. 14 cars made a pit stop. No one wanted to see a caution for that reason, but this man here, Bobby Labonte, wanted to see a caution. Remember, he had the tire situation on lap 161. We pretty much knew he was going to have to make a stop very late in this race. He was able to make it under caution, still on the lead lap.
The other big winner is Carl Edwards. Without a caution flag, Edwards was a lap down, mired in 24th. And he would have been the big winner had we had more than 10 laps to go. But because we're inside the final 10 laps, there will be no free pass. So it looks like the highest that Edwards can finish here is going to be in the low 20s. So I'm corrected. That is not a win for him.
Yeah, the best he can finish is actually 24th. Now, he's racing a lot of cars for that position, 5 or 6 cars. But unless one of those top 23 that's on the lead lap has a problem, Carl Edwards will leave here probably in 24th position. And it'll be a single file restart because with being within 10 laps at the end of the race, all those 23 lead lap cars will be to the front of the pack.
Two guys I'm really concerned about, though, is the 24. We know he's knocked out of the top 10 in points now, but look where the 8 is. He's also back in 17th spot, and he's losing points pretty quickly.
He was going to lose 2 spots, but now only 1. You see they have the porta power out. Up there at the wall, and that is a hydraulic spreader because they need to gain a little more clearance because of how far Jeff Gordon pushed back the outer edge of the safer barrier and get all those blocks in, and then we'll be able to restart as soon as the sweeper is finished.
Here he goes. Got a good third gear shift.
Good restart.
Good solid shifts.
And he's got a car length and a half on Kurt Busch as they go into 1.
A little edgy here in the turn 1 because of the debris and dirt from Jeff's wreck, but looks good so far. Tony's down on the bottom, hunting.
Richard Petty won the first Cup race here in 1974. Last year, Carl Edwards won here in his first start. This year, Denny Hamlin trying to do the same.
Rookies are going to kind of like coming to this place. They're going to say, hey, can't wait to get the Pocono. Look at that lead he's got already, and here we come off turn 3, and he's already pulled out to a sizable lead. Hamlin in the 11 is pulling away.
Talked about Scott Riggs in that 10 car back there in the 6th position. He's all over the back bumper of Matt Kenseth in that 17 car for 5th right now. A lot of these cars here, including Jimmy Johnson, the 48 car, Casey Kane in the 9. Remember, a lot of these cars, they have fresh tires here. 4 laps to go.
The Gibbs cars are 1st, 3rd, and 18th. Hamlin, Stewart, and Yaley.
See that old yellow car back there on the inside. Greg Biffle in the 16 car, remember, had a flat tire when that caution came out for Jeff Gordon. He drives by Ryan Newman. He's up in the top 7 with the 16 car. Be 3 laps to go next time.
Now, Biffle said he ran over a piece of debris from Jeff Gordon's crash.
Yeah, had a big gash in the tires.
Kyle Busch ran out a racetrack, dropped 2 spots right about there.
Yeah, a slight rub.
Steve Burns is with Jeff Gordon.
All right, Mike, thanks a lot. Jeff, first question, are you okay?
I don't know how, but yes, I am. Either I got a really hard head or those guys at Hendrick Motorsports just built an awesome race car, because that was one of the hardest hits I've ever taken. And I think we broke a right front brake rotor going into 1. Probably the worst thing you could ever ask for in a race car is to have the brakes go out going into turn 1 at Pocono. And between the soft wall and the seat and every safety device we had on there, I never got knocked out. I was surprisingly feeling pretty good, other than just a bit of a headache, and they just wanted to watch me there a little bit. But I'm fine. It's unfortunate, we lost track position. We had a pretty good car at the beginning, lost track position, just couldn't get it back.
Glad you're all right.
Thank you.
A very hard hit for Jeff Gordon. Glad that he's okay. It's going to be 2 laps to go.
Not a whole lot happening up front here with the 11 car, but there's a whole lot happening back here with these guys with these new tires. They are slicing and dicing.
Well, and unfortunately, Ryan Newman in the 12 car, Elliott Sadler in the 38, 2 of the teams that elected to stay out, they were the last cars right in front of those cars that had fresh tires, and they pretty much have been a sit and duck. You see Jimmy Johnson in the 48 car racing Ryan Newman in the 12. This is a battle for the 10th position.
Jeff Burton got past them. Now Newman makes the pass.
Here's the guy that's on the move, though. Man, the
Biffle
fifth.
takes Riggs for 6th place, and 2nd is heating up. Tony Stewart's putting the pressure on Kurt Busch for 2nd place as well. With a lap and a half to go.
Still a pretty good day for the 02 car, because I tell you, they've struggled a lot in races, and he's had a solid run all day, led some laps and been up front all day. So good job for the 2 car today.
2.5 more miles, 3 corners, Denny Hamlin, white flag.
What an exciting day for him. Sets on pole.
Spins out while leading.
Routine kind of day.
Comes all the way back from 40th.
Look at him flapping in the wind, baby.
And he's still the fastest car on the racetrack.
On Friday, he qualified for the 2007 Budweiser Shootout, a race he won back in February. Another half a lap here. He will be in the 2007 Nextel All-Star Challenge at Lowe's Motor Speedway.
Yeah, he was already, once you win that race, you were exempted from there on. You're in it at the Daytona, but you're not in the All-Star race, and this is going to do it for him because, guys, I think he might be an All-Star.
Denny Hamlin rolls off turn 3, and he joins Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, and Tony Stewart as winners for Joe Gibbs Racing. Hamlin, the rookie, starts on the pole, falls to 40th, then wins the Pocono 500.
Kurt Busch finishes 2nd. Tony Stewart finishes 3rd. His 100th career top 5. Brian Vickers 4th. Matt Kenseth 5th. Greg Biffle 6th. And what a battle between the Evernham cars for 7th. Casey Kane prevailing over Scott Riggs.
Hamlin's previous best finish was 2nd at his home track of Richmond 4 races ago. And he will move into the Nextel Cup top 10.
Look at Tony. You know what? Ever since he cut his hand at Charlotte, he's been on a tear.
I know.
I wonder what they did to that hand. I know one thing. I give him a hand.
He will climb from 11th to 9th in the standings. And he is the 3rd driver of 2006 to win a Nextel Cup race from the pole. In only his 21st start, Denny Hamlin is a winner. The crew is telling him those temporary repairs to the left rear will not suffer an extended burnout.
You think he'll listen?
Doubt it.
Doubt it. He is a kid,
So neat. Almost every competitor that has driven by him has acknowledged him winning his first race here at Pocono.
Especially nice that wave from Elliott Sadler, who conducted the rookie meeting here on Friday, as we saw earlier today.
No, he won't do a burnout.
No. Oh, no.
Oh, just a mini burnout. Oh, well, let's see. Let me crank this thing up.
Well, I also think they're wanting to be a little careful because I'm being told this is his Michigan car. That's the way it should be celebrated, right there with the old checkered flag.
Yeah. Smoke them up. Smoke them up a little bit.
We'll go to Victory Lane with Denny Hamlin next. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
Another great team Chevy victory. 25 of the last 34 NASCAR Manufacturers Championships and counting. Chevy, an American revolution. Hamlin led 83 laps as far back after the tire problem as 40th, led 49 of the first 50 laps and then rallied to overtake Biffle and Tony Stewart, who wound up 3rd. Tony toughing it out, going all 500 miles and congratulating the 25-year-old rookie. His first Cup victory in this, his 21st race. That is your Chevy winning moment. And we welcome you to the Nextel Sprint post-race show here at Pocono. Let's check in with Dick Berggren.
The inside of his race car is absolutely full of grass and sod after the spin out. Do you believe you're here?
Man, this thing is unbelievable. This car was just on rails all day long. We made quarter rounds at most during every other stop, but this whole FedEx Ground Chevrolet was awesome. Got to thank Coca-Cola, Joe Gibbs Racing, everyone who's been a part of this. FedEx had a tough year last year. We're coming back this year. we're trying to get in that chase, and this is a great way to do it.
Now, 4 years ago, this guy was almost out of business as a result of just plain running out of money with his family team, almost had to quit. How thankful are you to be here today?
It's unbelievable. You know, my success has a lot to do with Mike Ford. Everybody knows his success with Bill Elliott here a couple years ago. And, man, he just put an awesome car into me. It's easy to do when you got a car as dominant as ours. And, you know, to come back from that blown tire, I couldn't believe it. I thought our race was over. But, man, this car was strong, and you can't hold us down.
This is a guy with a great future. Steve?
All right, thank you, Dick Berger. And Kurt Busch, it wasn't a win, but how important was this finish today to you and your race team?
Oh, it was solid. Very happy with the team and the way that our pit stops kept us in the game. I think we're a nice, solid top 5 car, but to finish second was a tribute to this team and the pit stops that we had and the adjustments Roy McCauley made. So Roger was here, a great day for the Miller Lite Dodge and all of our associate sponsors. This gives us a good indication of what type of setup we need to run, and hopefully we can blend it in at Michigan next week.
Thanks a lot, Kurt. Good luck next week. Let's go to Matt Yoakum with Tony Stewart.
Well, it's the old Tony Stewart. He's snapping towels with people. He came on the radio when he crossed the start-finish line and said, "We are back." What an impressive run by a guy with a broken shoulder.
Yeah, not bad, but I mean, it was easier to place like this, obviously. But, you know, the last 2 days, I felt like we gained about 10% of strength in our shoulder and mobility. And it was a tough Friday. We were sore. Yesterday was about half as bad, and today we went through the whole race without being sore at all. So the good thing is we got 1 day off and we got a road course test at VIR. So we'll see where we stack up there. We'll know where we're at after that.
Busy week ahead, Chris Myers.
All right, thanks, Matt and Tony. And this is the Nextel from Sprint post-race show. Denny Hamlin over Kurt Busch, Tony Stewart, Brian Vickers, Matt Kenseth, and Greg Biffle rounding out the top 6. And as we look at the points, you see that Denny Hamlin has moved into the top 10. As Mike pointed out, Jeff Gordon, who is okay physically, falling out of the top 10. Mike?
And Greg Biffle getting ever closer to that top 10 as his resurgence in the Nextel Cup standings continues. 5th win here for Joe Gibbs Racing at Pocono. I don't think that car was passed under green all day.
No, it was fast on rails, just like he said. And again, I'll echo what he said. Mike Ford, I give him the credit for the great day he had. He did it with Bill Elliott. And guess what, guys? He's going to Indy in a few weeks. And what you do here, you do there.
But I think we talked about it with about 10 laps to go. You got to give credit to that whole crew on an 11 car for fixing that car with 150 laps to go. And a guy that had a flat tire when Jeff Gordon had the caution. Those guys, Greg Biffle's crew, they worked on the brakes early. 2 cars that overcame a lot of problems to come up there with good finishes, especially this man right here, Denny Hamlin.
Well, several teams had a great day today, including our Fox team out in the wind and the cold and in the truck. Great show, folks. And Chris, we'll see you at Michigan next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Dale Jarrett, Bobby Labonte, Tony Stewart, guys that have won for Joe Gibbs. They all went on to win championships. Might we be looking at, well, obviously a great career for Denny Hamlin, but now in the championship picture?
I think you got to look at what they've been able to create so far since they brought Denny Hamlin into this 11 car a year ago. And I think, again, when you look at Joe Gibbs, he knows how to create and make champions out of these young guys. And he's got a really strong future, not only with Denny Hamlin, but he's got J.J. Yaley, and he's still got the veteran right there, Tony Stewart. So they've got the kind of an organization. And then we take a look at J.D. Gibbs, right? They're probably calling Dad saying, "Hey, how do we look now, Pop?"
Right. Joe Gibbs won Super Bowls with different quarterbacks. He's won championships with different drivers. And when Denny Hamlin was just a teenager, got an autograph from Gibbs, who was excited. And here, 10, 14 years later, he's driving for him and now winning in the Cup Series. A wild ride, 500 miles here in Pocono. Coming up next weekend, Friday in Michigan. Nextel Cup qualifying on speed. That's how you start your weekend. Saturday, the Busch Series qualifying in Kentucky. That's on speed, followed by Nextel Cup practice on FX from Michigan, and then the Busch Series race from Kentucky. On Sunday, NASCAR race day, begin and end your day with speed, and in between 1 o'clock Eastern, 400 miles from that 2-mile track in Michigan, a race that Greg Biffle won last year. We in the Fox family want to express our deepest sympathy to the family of Robert Russo. He passed away earlier this week. His son, Rich Russo, one of our ace directors, directs a number of our NASCAR and football broadcasts. And Robert Russo, good father, good husband, good man. He was 88 years old. Well, the weather here was a little dicey as you got to look at the promotional consideration.